Welcome in. What is happening, everybody, to a special Skap Live edition here. Not after dark. I don't even know what we'll be calling this if we go do this during the day moving forward. But I don't know. Skap daytime, Skap AM. I don't know. You guys could drop some potential suggestions here. This was just kind of an impromptu decision for me to hop on. I've been a little busy as of late. Not really able to produce a full-fledged video on this finals matchup, but I do want to discuss it as we move forward into the actual NBA finals finally getting underway after quite a long respite. It's been about 5 days since the last couple series ended. So, here we go. I just wanted to hop on and take a look at what could potentially be the worst NBA finals ever, question mark. Maybe, possibly, potentially. I'm not saying that these two teams are terrible. It is a massive mismatch in my estimation. Realistically, I'd like to look at the odds. We discussed it. If you guys were with me after dark on the last episode when the finals matchup was finally locked in place, being the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder, I speculated that it could be the biggest mismatch or maybe the biggest favor line that we've ever seen in NBA history. I do have the intel on that. I have the data. So I do want to just take a quick peek-see at that. But we'll also, I just kind of want to look at the overview of what a monumental and colossal mismatch this is and how insane it would be, really, to me, if the Indiana Pacers won more than one game. We also, breaking news yesterday, again, I've been a little busy, haven't been able to touch base on it, but I did want to discuss the Tom Thibodeau firing. Shocking news to me anyway, coming out of New York. I thought maybe realistically, I'm mind blown that they fired him in the first place, but had it come instantly following, like the day after they had been eliminated possibly, but I think they waited 2 days basically to make this decision. And I was just blown away yesterday by it. So I do want to touch on the Thibodeau news, his tenure coming to an end officially with the New York Knicks, out in 5 seasons with the Knicks. His record ultimately 226 and 174 with the Knicks, 57% win percentage. Maybe we can get into a longer discussion about Tom Thibodeau, his career as a head coach in the NBA, spanning now nearly 1,000 games, 998 games coached for him in the capacity of the head man in his NBA tenure. 998 games coached, 578 wins, 420 losses. That's good for 58% win percentage. Of course, though, he has never been in the NBA Finals. He's never led a team to that point. So that obviously factors in to his ousting in New York. Still, nonetheless, crazy timing on the heels of what was a really good season and a really good playoff run for them. So more on that potentially in a bit, but did just want to get in here and touch on this Thunder series, guys. It is we are finally set, and it is finally set to begin tomorrow night. We're less than 48 hours out now, about a day and a half. And look, they open as substantial dogs in this. Not quite as big of a dog as I thought they would be. I think they opened as minus 800. They've nestled in, though, here at minus 750. That would be the Thunder being the 6th highest odds-on favorite in the NBA Finals since 1968. That would be so this is the biggest mismatch, if you will, according to the Vegas books, since 1968. And just to go over the other teams that opened as a wider favorite than the Thunder, we talked the 2000 Lakers playing the Philadelphia 76ers. That was, I speculated last show that this could be minus 2,000. I thought that maybe the Thunder might open as minus 2,000. in this series. So I was way off on that. They opened as minus 750. But speaking of minus 2,000, the Lakers against the 76ers were minus 2,000 in 2001. So that is the biggest line. Obviously, the Sixers stole game one in an overtime game where Allen Iverson dropped 50, and then the Lakers won 4 consecutive games after that, beating them in 5. The next biggest odds-on favorite since 68 is the 2018 Warriors and the Cavs. That would be the second year of the KD pairing after they traded Kyrie Irving, remember, and it was just LeBron and Kevin Love. The Warriors opened at minus 1075. Then the 96 Bulls, so that would be the 72-10 win Bulls. They opened at minus 950 against the Sonics. The 1999 Spurs opened at minus 900 against the Knicks in that strike-shortened season, the 50-game strike-shortened season in which Tim Duncan won his first NBA championship. The 2000 Lakers open at minus 800 versus the same Indiana Pacers in the first, their last appearance, I should say, in the NBA Finals round in 2000. Of course, the Lakers won that one too. And then finally, here we are, the 2025 Oklahoma City Thunder at minus 750. So what do all of those other teams have in common that I just read off that had opened at higher odds ultimately than this Thunder team? Oh, well, those teams all won. So too will this team win, the Thunder team. I see some people in here. I see some people saying that the Pacers are going to win, Pacers in whatever 4 or 5. That's obviously outlandish. I think we would be hard pressed if the Pacers even win a single game. I think they will have done probably overachieved, because ultimately I think the Thunder, this should be an easy, clean sweep for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I would be absolutely astonished. The Pacers getting one game would not surprise me in the least. I think it would be probably game 4. I think the Thunder might go up 3-0, and then the Pacers, just playing for sheer pride, might go ahead and win game 4 to stave off elimination and send it back to Oklahoma City. And I think Oklahoma City will be an accommodating party in allowing the Pacers to stave off elimination in Indiana, so that they could go back home, if you will, and seal the deal at home. Probably more fun for them to celebrate with the home fans on the home crowd anyway. So I would expect this to be in 5, though it shouldn't. If the Thunder show up for business and play as they should for the entirety of the series, then ultimately I think that this should be an easy 4-0 sweeper for the Thunder. Quite frankly, I'm shocked that the odds are so short. The odds being, again, 750, minus 750 for these Thunder. I'm shocked. I thought that it would be much higher, at least 1,000. Like I said, they're the 6th biggest favorite since 1968. Just to, though, put a cap on this, from the Pacers side of things, they are plus 525 as the underdog, getting the underdog line. And over the last 50 years, there's been only 2 teams. So in 50 times, well, it hasn't happened 50 times, but in 50 years, only 2 teams that have opened at plus 500 or shorter in terms of their odds. Looking at it from the Indiana Pacers side of the equation, only 2 have won the NBA championship. That would be the Toronto Raptors, who opened at plus 230 in the 2019 finals. And so think about that. They opened at plus 230. These Pacers open at plus 525. So that's a big variance there. But of course, what the Raptors got to assist them on their way of winning that series was not only the Kevin Durant injury, but the Klay Thompson injury too. And it still took 6. It still took the Raptors 6, even amid those injuries. Durant missing, I think, 4 games to start the series. Klay missing the last game to end the series, and Durant missing the last game too. So, and then that was a 2-point win in game 6, keep in mind. So that game almost went to 7. So sure, maybe if Shea, Chet, and Jalen Williams all got hurt, maybe then the Pacers could win this series in 6 or 7, possibly. And the other, I'm sorry, I don't even want to mention it, but the other team over the past 50 years that has won the championship, opening at, this drastic at plus 200 underdogs, would be the Detroit Pistons in 2003, 2004. So obviously that one of the biggest upsets in NBA Finals history, when the Kobe and Shaq Lakers with 40-year-old Karl Malone and 34, 35-year-old Gary Payton, and really nothing else, lost to the Pistons. Of course, that series changed substantially when Karl Malone got hurt. They had literally no depth. Slaven Medvedenko was playing starting power forward for the Lakers after the Malone injury. So, you had Shaq, Kobe, a mid-30-year-old Gary Payton, Devin George, and Slaven Medvedenko was the starting five. So if you have Devin George and Slaven Medvedenko in your starting five, just think what that means for the remainder, of the lineup there for the Lakers. So anyway, though, that was a substantial open for the Lakers, and the Pistons were viewed as significant underdogs. But that was it. Those are the only two instances. I would not be looking for something along those lines in this series. This year in the regular season, based on net rating on offense and defense, the Oklahoma City Thunder were the third rated net offense, just above Denver, just below Boston and Cleveland, whereas Indiana was the sixth net rated offense. So they're kind of in the same stratosphere as the Oklahoma City offensively. Again, OKC 3 on the season. Indiana was 6. But defensively is really where the discrepancy comes in, the massive discrepancy. The Oklahoma City Thunder, the number one net rated defense by a mile, one of, relative to league pacing and averages, one of the greatest defenses that the NBA has ever seen. Certainly one of the 2 or 3 best this century. So 25 years of data now. They're right there with the 04 Pistons and the 08 Boston Celtics, whereas Indiana was 15th net rated defense this season. So just a humongous, glaring discrepancy there. And then it bears out in the SRS, which, I'm a big metrics guy. I like advanced analytics, at least in terms of a predictor into how teams are going to fare in the playoffs. To me, net differential is a big indicator. So whoever leads the league in net differential, last year Boston led the league in net differential. They won the NBA championship. This year, the Oklahoma City Thunder led the team in net differential, and not just for this year, for all of time. They set the all-time NBA record for net differential by a lot, by like a full half a point, and they broke the 1972 LA Lakers record. That team, which won, I think, 69 games, which at the time was the all-time NBA record till the 72 when Bulls came along like 20 plus years later. That team, the 72 Lakers, still holds the all-time NBA record for most consecutive wins in a season at 33 straight. So that team held the record until now this year, and now these Thunder obliterate that record by like half a point. It bears out in the SRS, which is simple rating system. And that actually is not just a gauge of your net differential. So how much do you win games by, but how good are the opponents you're playing? So factoring in the strength of schedule to kind of normalize such blowouts from a historical standpoint. Well, these Thunder also set the all-time SRS record, 12.7. Again, obliterating the previous record holder. I believe it was those 95-96 Bulls that won 72 games. Their previous SRS record was like 12.2. These Thunder, 12.7. So again, obliteration of that record. That's how good this Oklahoma City Thunder team is. Historical. They have the best bench by far. They have like 3 or 4 of their bench players are in the top 25 in terms of total plus minus this season. They're incredibly deep. They have an elite top 3 in Jalen Williams, who was an all-star this year, all-NBA and all-NBA defense, to play alongside the league MVP in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Chet Holmgren, who to me is probably the second best player, but missed 50 games during the regular season with a broken hip. That was a long time ago. He's back. He's healthy. He's anchoring the defense. So look, This team, I've been saying it since September, will be historically great this season. This will be the beginning of a dynastic run by this team. And so it shall. So it has been so. The Thunder are here. We're here now at the beginning of it. The Pacers, unfortunately, are at the other end of that buzzsaw, looking down as the saw comes on. Like I said, in 5 at best. Should be a sweep if the Thunder don't get overly complacent. Just to put a bow, though, on how big of an overwhelming underdog the Pacers are. And then maybe I do want to discuss Thibs for a little bit. And I do see some regulars from Skap After Dark, my live streams at night after the games end, have trickled on into this Skap Live AM or whatever.
Let's get some of these super chats read real quick.
Wait, hang on, Gary. I want to put a bow on my SRS point. That is the voice of that is the voice of moderator Gary. In case you guys are not familiar with moderator Gary, that is the voice. So you will be hearing him chime in from time to time, and he will be reading some comments to me throughout and some super chats and so forth. But the 12.7 net SRS, simple rating system by the Oklahoma City Thunder this year, all-time record in NBA history, shattering the 1995-96 Chicago Bulls mark of 12.2. This season, the Pacers had a 1.68 SRS. That is good for 13th best this season. So, and look, I really do put a lot of stock in the SRS and in the net rating. I really do believe that is indicative of how good this team is. So we're looking at the 13th best team in the NBA this year versus the best team all time, throughout all of NBA history when looking at this metric. So that is pretty much what I'm expecting. I'm expecting 20 to 30 point wins in every game that the Thunder win, and then maybe one very, very, very close loss. I believe this year they've played 9 games at home, have the Oklahoma City Thunder in these playoffs. They are 8-1 in those 9 games by an average margin of differential in their wins. So in the 8 wins, 29.1 points per game. They have a 51-point win in there, a 43-point win in there, a 39-point win in there. 29.1 average margin of differential in 8 of their 9 home games this year, 8 wins. The one loss they have in 9 home games, a 2-point loss to the Denver Nuggets. Good luck with all of that, Indiana. So they're winning games by 30 per game in 8 of the 9, and the one loss, a 2-point miracle buzzer beater by the Denver Nuggets. This is going to be a slaughter fest to open in game 1. Mark my words. It's a 9.5-point line in game 1 for Oklahoma City. Bet the Thunder. Lay the 9.5. I would expect at least a 20-point win, if not greater, in this game 1 to really set the tone. But Gary, as moderator Gary said, let's go ahead and just read a couple super chats. Welcome in, guys, if you are joining. I have been doing these live streams periodically throughout the NBA playoffs, basically every night from the second round on. We've been on late night, starting around, 10:30 p.m. Eastern time in the U.S. At the earliest, and at the latest, we started some of those around 1:30 a.m. So this is a drastic change of timing here for us, as it is not even noon on the East Coast in the U.S. yet. So welcome in. Still 250-ish people here have found their way to Skap Live here. So welcome in to all of you. Glad to have you. Been here for about 20. I don't know how long I'll be on. I do want to touch on the Thibodeau situation in New York, but yes, moderator Gary wants to read some super chats. So let's go ahead and dive into those first. Go ahead, Gary. What does this first one say?
I think it's from Avaway Gexa, something like that. I see a Skap notification. I click immediately. LOL. So see, he jumped right on like just a minute after you first got on.
Gary, can we get some clarification of what this denomination ZAR is? Can you look that up for me? I always like to know, because we've got an international appeal here in the Skap Lounge. So, I always like to know exactly where people are watching from. I think I only have about, Gary, just interrupt me whenever you have it.
South African.
South Africa. Okay. I thought, and maybe Avaway, maybe he's been with us in the past, and I checked it out because I thought that was in Africa. I didn't want to assume, though, because you know what happens when you assume, ladies and gentlemen in the lounge, you make an ass out of you and me, obviously. So, but it is Africa. So shout out to Africa. Love to see people coming in from all over the globe here. I think I only have about 57% of my audience at current on my channel in general is in the US. So that's literally about half from elsewhere and from various other areas around the globe. So I'm very thankful to have all of you guys coming in from wherever you're coming in from. All the way here from Africa, shout out to you. And go ahead and Gary, I don't know.
Yes, I think you did already read it. Hold on, Scott. One second. What is up with this chat? There are so many of these delusional people in here saying the Pacers are going to win. And why are you sleeping on the Pacers? OKC's not going to win. What are you talking about? Have you been watching the playoffs? Have you been keeping up this season? These people are delusional.
I'm looking over now. Yeah, I see a lot of Pacers. Pacers take game one. Pacers. Well, I do see, and now I see Enrico in from Germany. Shout out to you, Enrico, from Germany. Yes. Anyway, yes, I do like to see. I like to see all of the international appeal, and I do like to see all the way who just clicks on when a Skap notification pops up. Clicks immediately. I love to hear that. Many thanks to you. Thank you for your support and always clicking on. And all the way, as you guys have noticed, has the notifications turned on. You guys should totally and 100% turn those notifications on because I just do random things at random times. As evidenced by out of nowhere today, I just, like 10 minutes before I came on live, I was like, I think I might go on live today, even though, I've only done them at night, but I figured I'd pop on in the afternoon. And then my videos, I have no set or, schedule or rhyme or reason to when I put these things out. Generally, whenever they're done is when I put them out. I don't have a time frame or anything like that I abide by. Sometimes I put things out at 7 a.m., 10 a.m. Sometimes they're out at 5 p.m., 7 p.m. And then, of course, I'm on live various weird different times of the day. So hit the notifications like all the way if you have not. Many thanks to you guys who have. And I do look forward to doing more of these moving forward. And as moderator Gary has highlighted, we do have some people that need drug tested in the chat forum, it looks like.
They say you're the one on drugs. They're saying you're high. Are you high because you don't think OKC is going to lose to Indiana?
I don't know. Listen, to me, I think Indiana would have lost in the first if Dame Lillard did not get the blood clots and missed the last 17, 18 games. If he went in to the playoffs healthy, a fully healthy Milwaukee Bucks team with Giannis that they had been gelling because they were kind of coming together after the All-Star break, I think, in the later stages, and then just injuries undid them. I think had they just stayed totally healthy and headed into the playoffs the way and the matchup was what it was against Indiana, I think Indiana would have lost in the first round to Milwaukee. But of course, Milwaukee's just cursed with injuries. Giannis is cursed with injuries. So, Indiana gets through. And then, say what you will. I think Indiana, the last 2 years, have been the beneficiary of a lot of weird injuries in general that has happened throughout every stage and round of the playoffs. I think ultimately, look, to me, the Knicks were better. I say the Pacers won. All right, fair and square. There were no real injury situations that the Knicks were dealing with this year. But to me, the Knicks unequivocally choked, barfed all over themselves, gagged away that series, starting with game one, where they blew a 14-point lead with 2.5 minutes to go in that game and a 9-point lead with a minute left. How an NBA team loses that game, I am still questioning. I'm still reeling by that. But look, I think the Celtics, obvious choke job. Cavalier, and the Celtics get hurt too at the end, but obvious choke job. And that was the Knicks anyway that beat them. I think the Pacers would have lost to the Cavs fairly handily had the Cavs not been hurt. The Cavs missed, remember, 3 of their top 7 players going into game 1. They were missing Garland in game 1. Then in game 2, they were missing 3 of their top 7 players. They missed Mobley, Garland, and Hunter. So that really let the Pacers get out and get that 2-0 lead in that series. So, I mean, I think the Pacers are the 4th or 5th best team in the conference. They were the 4th seed in the conference. The Oklahoma City Thunder are one of the best teams historically ever. Like in terms, look, I don't want to I'm not making a commentary on, oh, they would beat this team or they would beat that team. Like, quite frankly, I think to me, the top 6 or 7 teams all time in NBA history would beat the Thunder. But when I'm looking at their relative dominance to their peer set, that's fleshed out over all these advanced metrics that I discussed, I think that the Thunder, based on their competitive peer set, are as good or better than any team that we've ever seen. And now they're not even playing the next best team in their peer set this year. They're not even playing the 3rd or 4th best team in their peer set. They're not even playing the 10th best team in their peer set. They're playing the 13th best team in the NBA this year. And you guys think this is going to be close? You guys think I'm the crazy one for saying that this is going to be a slaughter fest? Look, I've been saying all year long since September that the Oklahoma City Thunder were easily going to win the NBA championship this year. I thought at the beginning of these playoffs, that they would go 16-3 in this postseason. Right now, they are 12-3. And when I said that 16-3, it's because the other best teams we've seen in NBA history have all been 16-3 or 15-3 or whatever, 3 losses or better in their postseason run. That was when I was anticipating the Boston Celtics or Cleveland Cavaliers being in the finals against this team. I was saying 16-3. So I certainly am not wavering on the fact that they're going to eviscerate the Eastern Conference opponent now that is the 4th or 5th best team coming out of the Eastern Conference. I mean, guys, if you really think that the Pacers have a shot, I'm absolutely stupefied by that. I see people saying game 1.
Hey, let me ask this. Skap, fill in the blank. The Pacers defeating OKC in the finals would be the biggest upset since what?
The biggest upset in NBA history.
Biggest upset of all time.
Of all time.
What about in sports? What about all sports? Most shocking since Buster Douglas, Mike Tyson?
I don't know.
The miracle, U.S. hockey beating the Russians?
The lines weren't the line. Look, I'd say maybe we all know what Tom Brady became and after, but I'd say probably for me the 2000 Patriots or whatever, the 2001 Patriots upsetting the greatest show on turf, Rams. That's a
real upset. That's not a big upset. That's not Buster Douglas, Mike Tyson. That's not the U.S. beating Russia.
Gary, it was like the 3rd biggest line in NFL history.
Why would that you can't just go by the line.
Gary, first of all, yes, you can go by the line.
How do you quantify Tom Brady? You can't.
That obviously plays a factor. Hold on. A line plays a factor in it, Gary. But what I'm talking about is I watch the NFL religiously.
Okay, wait. What's the line for this one? For game 1, OKC Pacers. I know there's been a bigger line but you've never seen a line.
There's been 6. I went over it at the league, Gary. There's been 5 bigger favorites since 1968 than these Thunder. That's it. The Thunder are the 6th biggest favorite in 70. Well, I don't know. To help me with the math, 1968 to 2025. How long is that?
60 years? 32, 42, 52, 57.
So in 60 years, the Thunder are the 6th biggest favorite ever. So, yes, the game Game one is irrelevant. It's not apples to apples in terms of game one versus the Super Bowl line, because the Super Bowl is one game to win it all. You have to look at the whole totality of the series. Actually, so if you're looking at it like that, since 1968, that line for the Rams that year was like the third biggest. So actually the Rams, according to Vegas, were a bigger favorite than these Thunder are. Now, I don't see it that way, but I will say this. I'm not just saying line, but you have to, yes, the line, look, when we're talking favorites or upsets, yes, the line factor.
But you don't feel a line in your heart. What do you feel? I'm talking about heart, man. I don't know anything about
the Rams were going
was the biggest upset.
The Rams were going for a second Super Bowl in 3 years, Gary.
I know that. I followed it immensely. That was a bigger upset than Buster Douglas or Mike Tyson. Do you remember?
Gary, we're talking. I'm not talking boxing. I'm talking
about sports.
I don't care about individual stuff. Let's talk team sports. Team sports. What do you got?
The U.S. Hockey team beating the Russians. Miracle on Ice.
Okay. See that was a literal. That's amateurs versus pros. So, like, of course, yes. But, like, let's say
let me tell you this.
On an even play.
But that's what we're looking at in this finals. This is almost like amateurs versus pros, almost.
But it's not. It's two pros. So, look, we're in America, but soccer, I don't know. And I'll take some input, obviously, from the chat, like, because we do have such a global audience. I'd like to I'm not talking about some friendly or some scrimmage or exhibition. In an impactful, meaningful soccer game, in like the World Cup or in the Olympics, I don't know the history of soccer. Football, as it is called, anywhere but here. Has there been like an insane upset of some sort, like in one of those type matchups? And then in terms of Major League Baseball, the NHL, so MLB, NHL, NBA, and NFL, those things I am aware of. Those things I am historically aware of, and I am thinking of now. And Gary, you could say what you asked me the question. I'm answering the question. I have a great memory. I have great retention and total recall on it. Like, I've been watching all of these sports for 30 years. The biggest upset in my mind that I can remember, the most recent one, would be that 2001 Super Bowl. The Patriots did not belong in that game as far as I'm concerned. They had the tuck rule against Oakland. They should have lost the game against Oakland. That was a total BS rule. Brady obviously brought the ball back down, touched it into his hand, and fumbled it. That should have been a turnover. The Raiders should have won the game. They then went in to play Pittsburgh, the Steelers. I was in the stadium, Gary. I was born and raised in Pittsburgh, and I was in the building to see the 2000 AFC Championship game, Patriots and Steelers. The Steelers, with Cordell Stewart, who's a total bum at quarterback, should still have easily beaten that team. They were 9-point favorites, Gary.
I thought the Patriots were going to win.
The Steelers, Gary, were 9-point favorites against the Patriots. Gary, get the hell out of here, Gary. I'm about to mute you for lying. Like, this is literally,
hold on,
LeBron stuff saying, I
not
didn't know he was going to score 81. You get the hell out of here. The Rams were literally 2 touchdown favorites in that Super Bowl, Gary. 14-point
No, I'm talking about the Steelers.
You're talking about the Patriots were not that big of an upset. I literally can't believe what I'm hearing. There's no way you're
talking about the Steelers. You were saying I'm in the stadium, Cordell Stewart. I said I thought they were going to win that game. I did.
Okay, the Steelers game. But not the Super Bowl.
The what?
But not the Super Bowl.
No, I was slightly surprised. But I thought there was a good chance the Patriots were going to get that upset.
Tom Brady, Gary, you're being disingenuous here.
No, I'm not. You didn't know. What have I told you about me, Skap? I have told you I think outside the box. I don't think like the typical average fan. I've told you this.
Gary, let me just give the backdrop of this.
But here's another thing. I don't look at lines. I go by my heart. I don't pay attention to the lines. I don't bet. I don't gamble. I go by what I see, and that's how I come to my conclusions.
All right. Well, Gary, let me just. I don't want this to turn into an argument fest or into an NFL live stream because we're talking about the NBA and the NBA Finals. However, the question was posed, what do I think it would be? It would be the biggest upset in NBA history, to me, bigger than the 04 Pistons beating the Lakers. Above that, in my estimation.
Mavericks Heat. That's the biggest. That's a shock to me. I was shocked by the Mavericks and the Heat.
I was not necessarily shocked by that one, actually, because LeBron is a choking dog. He had won absolutely nothing in his entire career going into that. He thought he could just throw a random collection of elite players together and then win 8 championships. It takes more than that, obviously. Yes, though, when you look at the on paper, yes, 3 perennial all-stars and future Hall of Famers, obviously, in that on that team versus Jason Terry was the second best player. A 6'2", 30-something-year-old bench player was the second best player on the Dallas Mavericks in that series. So that was an absolutely shocking outcome, I suppose. But to me, LeBron just choked like a dog, which shouldn't have been a shock to anybody because he's made a career of doing that. So, I think to me, the biggest upset in NBA history, in my opinion, and the biggest upset in all of team sports, professional team sports in the world history, in my estimation, since the 2001 Super Bowl or whatever it was. And just to talk to that point real briefly, the AFL NFL merge point was in 67, I believe. So going back to about the line, the 1968 line favorite that I'm discussing in the NBA, the merge point in the AFL NFL history in 1967, when the modern era of NFL sports was born and the Super Bowl started. So the Super Bowl era had started. The Patriots the Patriots underdog line against the Rams was the third most ever. It was the third biggest line in NFL in Super Bowl history, behind only that Miracle Jets upset in Super Bowl III, where it was still like a second class type citizen because it was just recently after the AFL and NFL merged, and then the Chargers were getting 18.5 points against the Niners. So that's it. Those are the only two. That was in the 95 Super Bowl. That's it. So whatever, 1970 or 69, 70, whatever, 1995, those are the only higher lines in league history, in the NFL's history of Super Bowl era. That Patriots team in 01 or whenever it was, when Tom Brady beat the greatest show on turf Rams. They were 2 touchdown underdogs. Like, that is an absolute lock. You see teams today, check out lines coming up into this upcoming Super. When you see a team that's like 9-1 playing a team that's like 2-7, that will be a 13.5 point line. That was the Super Bowl line. That's how big of an underdog that team was. And why wouldn't they be? They had a guy removed from like 2 years earlier of being the league MVP in Kurt Warner. They had another league MVP in Marshall Faulk. They were trying to win their second Super Bowl in 3 years, and they were playing a team in the Patriots that had a rookie quarterback for all intents and purposes. I get it. He was in his second year that year, not a rookie, because he didn't play his whole first year. That was his first year as a starter. He had played not even a whole year, because Drew Bledsoe was the starter, who was making like who had $100 million contract that got knocked out in game 2 or 3 of that season. So Tom Brady, this unknown, no name, and it's not like Tom Brady was like, oh, this number 1 overall pick who's just waiting and learning behind Drew Bledsoe, or this like second round pick that has all of this potential. No. This was the 7th round draft pick, unknown dude that wasn't even a starter his last year in college at Michigan. He was a split share starter his last year. He's a fringe, like barely even drafted guy, like near Mr. Irrelevant level. Tom Brady comes in out of nowhere in like the 3rd game of that season. They somehow miraculously, through a series of crazy happenstances, the tuck rule, Cordell Stewart, Steelers, they actually knocked Tom Brady out of the game. Drew Bledsoe came back in and won that game. Then there was a bit of controversy going into the Super Bowl. Well, Bledsoe won that game ultimately. Are they going to stay with Bledsoe now? No, they're going to go back to this unknown, no-name Tom Brady guy. And by the way, they're playing a fringe dynasty they're trying to go for 2 Super Bowls in 3 years, greatest show on turf. Rams, that was the backdrop to them winning that game. So to sit here and say, oh, it wasn't that big of an upset is insane to me, Gary. It's insane. But like whatever you want to say or whatever you want to think, I full-heartedly disagree with you. I've been watching the NFL. I've seen every playoff game in 30 plus years. I gambled on games nightly, like hundreds of dollars to thousands of dollars nightly for like 15 or 20 years of my life. You asked me, in my opinion, I have never seen a bigger upset other than that. That is the most recent, hugest upset I've ever seen, to answer your question. But if you disagree, I guess we were watching 2 different leagues back then because the Patriots stood no shot in that game, in my opinion. They came out of absolute nowhere, and that was the game that gave birth to Tom Brady. Like, that was the game that from there became Tom Brady. But that wasn't Tom Brady back then. That was just some unknown kid that didn't even start his senior year in college.
Well, I can tell you, I was watching the season, and you've even said you used to hate Tom Brady, similarly to the way you hate LeBron James now. Well, I loved Tom Brady as soon as he came in for Drew Bledsoe. I loved it when he got clocked and he jumped right back up to his feet in the middle of the season on that play. When I saw that, I saw his heart. I never doubted Brady. I didn't say he was going to beat the Rams. I wasn't shocked by it. That's all I'm saying.
Tom Brady,
I believe in Brady his rookie year. He was great his rookie. He had the heart, not the stats. He was more of a game manager, but he had so much heart. That's why I love Tom Brady, just like I love Kobe Bryant, because I love players who have heart and determination. Reggie Miller, Kobe Bryant, Tom Brady. I loved him his rookie year. So because I loved him for his heart is why I was not shocked when he won. I did think the Rams were probably going to edge him out, but I wasn't surprised. That's all. Now you can say you're going by the betting lines. I don't know anything about
the Rams were 14-2 that year.
It doesn't matter though. Obviously but we've seen other teams with lesser records. What do we just go by? Well, then why we play the playoffs if we don't?
It was a historically great team, though, Gary.
That they were on and off.
They weren't on and off though.
They were on and off.
You're not remembering the season right, Gary. They were 14-2. They had a 230 differential.
They were good offensively. Yes, but we know that defensive teams can often win.
Gary. That year, the Patriots allowed 272 points on defense in the regular season. The Rams allowed 273. They were equally as good defensively, but offensively, the Patriots scored 371. The Rams scored 503. That's a differential of 99 for the Patriots and 230 for the Rams. They were a historically great team at 14-2, and they had 2 league MVPs on their team. Like, hang on. Who was the MVP? That year's MVP was Kurt Warner, Gary. Gary, the last 3 years going into that game, the MVPs of the NFL were Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, and then Kurt Warner again that very year. They had the last 2 league MVPs on one team with a historical net differential playing against a guy who was basically undrafted and in his first year as a quarterback. It was an insane upset. It was a historical upset, Gary.
Okay, I wasn't surprised by it. I was surprised.
Gary, go ahead and pull up the video of LeBron talking about Kobe scoring 81. Do you know what I'm talking about? The footage of LeBron talking about that? Are you aware of this footage?
No.
Okay, LeBron back in like 2010-ish. LeBron, so years back, but the footage obviously lives forever. The internet is undefeated and it's inconsistent.
Okay. Sorry, Julian Waters. Okay, we'll go on to super chat. She says she's tired of me talking about NFL. Okay,
hang on, because this is an NBA comment. LeBron was interviewed in like 2010, and he was like, the interview is insane. You can go ahead and find it on YouTube. Just Google or YouTube LeBron talking about Kobe's 81. LeBron sitting there in this interview, and he's like, oh, yeah, I was watching Kobe at home. I saw him in warm-ups. I'm like, oh, yeah, he's going to go for 70 tonight probably. Then after the first like couple minutes, I'm like, oh, yeah, he's probably going to go for like 80 at least. So like LeBron was saying that he essentially predicted the exact game that Kobe scored 81 on the Raptors, that LeBron predicted that Kobe would score 81. That's what you sound like right now, saying that it wasn't that big of an upset. It was a huge upset, Gary. But we'll get back to the supers here. Oh, and look, we've got John Ratcliffe in, who is talking about, he's talking about I thought he was talking about himself losing money. Go ahead and read John's super chat there, Gary.
The NBA is pissed they've lost millions.
Yeah, I don't know, John, who you think would have been a better matchup. I think Oklahoma City, to your point, is, first of all, John, welcome in to the Skap Live. I don't even know what we're calling this. It is now officially the afternoon, though. I could say that. So I can't say Skap Live in the AM or whatever. This is Skap in the afternoon. I don't know. I'll think something up. But John Ratcliffe was a regular on the Skap After Dark streams after these playoffs, throughout the playoffs. Whenever we go on live after a game, we go final. So John has found us in the afternoon. He's a big fan, a big friend of the show. So thank you very much, John, for sliding on into Skap in the afternoon here. I don't know what I'm going to call this thing, but appreciate your continued support here of us. And yeah, I think obviously they would have wanted the Knicks over the Pacers for sure. Or in lieu of that, look, I think the Knicks would have gotten killed as well in this series. I think the Knicks would have gotten swept or gentlemen swept. So 4 or 5, just like I think the Pacers are going to lose in 4 or 5. But at least you would have brought in the New York audience, the big fan base, the huge market that they have. So I think, sure, of course, the NBA probably wanted to get the Knicks in there over the Pacers, no doubt about that. Or in lieu of that, how about just a good series? How about it doesn't matter what teams are in there or how big the markets are. Like, let's just get watchable basketball, a good product. For that, I think you needed Cleveland or Boston. And Boston also being a big market. So they obviously would have brought their big fan base and their large globe or national, I guess I should say, fan base in. So, but for me, I would have just been looking for good basketball. I would have liked to see Cleveland maybe in, because quite frankly, Cleveland played the Thunder better than Boston. I think the Thunder worked Boston in their 2 games, beat them 2-0, and they beat them badly in Boston the second time without Jalen Williams. So I don't know how good of a series that would have been anyway. Cleveland, though, split them. Now, there was a tight win for Cleveland, and then they got blown to pieces in the loss. But still, Cleveland split them. So I think I probably would have liked to see Cleveland. Just good basketball likely would have been to me more advantageous for the NBA than just getting like the Knicks in. But yes, of course, look, if the NBA really just wanted to grab ratings, they would have got the Lakers and Celtics in there, LeBron and the Lakers versus the Boston Celtics going for a back-to-back, going for a second championship. So I really think ultimately that was the thing they were dying for. I think when the playoffs began, there was some legitimate belief around league circles that the Lakers could possibly run to the finals, mainly because look, they did play the Thunder fairly closely throughout the last 2 seasons, and they added Luka at the trade deadline, who was a bit of a Thunder killer. So I think there was some optimism that, hey, the Lakers with the veteran buildup that the makeup that they have of their roster, having LeBron and Luka, like maybe they would be able to upset the Thunder and get into the finals. Then, of course, Boston was the favorite to get into the finals from the East when the playoffs began. So I really do think there was some genuine belief around the league that maybe they could get the Lakers Celtics, which would have been obviously a wet dream for Commissioner Nosferatu, Adam Silver. And it just went all the ways but bad for that projection for league offices, as the Lakers lost in the first round. They didn't even win. They won one game, and then the Celtics limped out, pathetic that they are, in 6 against the Knicks, and they were going to lose that before the Tatum injury. So I don't want to hear that as an excuse. But yes, John, you're right. The NBA had a lot of potential opportunities on the table for a really, really compelling final series here. And what they get instead is what I highlighted and outlined earlier on is one of the probably going to be the most unwatchable series in finals history. They are only the 6th biggest favorite since 1968. However, I think they win easily in 4 or 5, and I think every game they win in will be double digits. So if you see a line, speaking of lines, less than 10, I would take it for the whole series. In fact, just bet it the whole series. If you see a line under 10 all series long for the Thunder, just bet them all series. If it goes 4 or 5, whatever, you're going to make money if you just bet them every single game. So good point, John. And John, again, many thanks to you for finding us here in the afternoon, the PM lounge session here that we're in, and I appreciate you. And speaking of which, Dylan Davis is another carryover from Skap After Dark. So welcome into the daytime lounge, Dylan Davis. Many thanks for finding us. And I appreciate your continued support and generosity. Gary, what is the question or comment from Dylan here?
Is there a matchup you are excited about, Skap?
If we're talking about in these finals, sure. I'm excited to see Halliburton because I think, look, when 2 games ago, when Tyrese Halliburton laid down the historic game, and it was a historic game. It was, I believe it was the 3rd time in NBA playoff history someone went for 30 plus, 15 plus, and 10 plus. He had 32 points, 15 assists, and 12 rebounds. It was the 3rd such line, joining Oscar Robertson and Nikola Jokic. So 2 pretty good guys that you want to be aligned with historically. Of course, Halliburton followed that up with an all-time pants poop game where he had a triple single. I think it was 8 points, 6 assists, and 2 rebounds when they lost in Madison Square Garden and got pushed into the 6th game, which they ultimately did take care of on their home floor. But look, I was ready after that 30-point triple-double masterpiece, which, by the way, also featured 0 turnovers in that game. I was ready to anoint Halliburton as a top 10 player, like a bona fide superstar. Now he's going up against probably the most difficult matchup you could possibly draw up for him. Just absolute hyenas and jackals all over the floor on the perimeter for Oklahoma City Thunder. Probably, to me, for my money, the 2 best perimeter defenders on the planet in Alex Caruso and Lou Dort. The 2 best in whatever order. I guess Dort was first team All-NBA this year, so probably give him a shout out to him. Oh, and then, did I mention Jalen Williams, who was 2nd team All-NBA defense? So, like, literally a 2nd team All-NBA defender doesn't even get mentioned when I'm talking about the ridiculous elite defenders that they have on the perimeter, the 2 best on the planet to me in Dort and Caruso. Then throw in an All-NBA defensive caliber player this year in Jalen Williams as well. And then, SGA, who on any other team likely would be All-NBA defense the last 2 seasons, but because he's lost in this sea of top 5, 10, all, league-wide defenders, he doesn't even get mentioned, but he's All-NBA defensive caliber. All those dudes on the perimeter, there are so many things to throw at Halliburton. Then if he gets into the lane, like, okay, well, 2 All-NBA defensive caliber bigs in my estimation in Chet and Isaiah Hartenstein. So to me, good luck navigating that, Tyrese Halliburton. But look, Halliburton, 2 All-NBA defensive selections, or All-NBA league selections, 2 third-team selections this year and last. So, top 15, says the voters. And I say top 10 after that triple-double performance. And now 2 deep playoff runs in back-to-back years. East Finals last year, lost to the Celtics. Now the NBA Finals. But how good is he going to be? How good can he realistically be in this series? So that will be my primary watch. Dylan, and can, like with Nikola Jokic, how great is Nikola Jokic? How great can he be? Can he get one game against this team? Can he get two? Nikola Jokic is so damn great. He got 3 against this team. Then into the next round, I said, well, how great is Ant Edwards? How great can he be? Can he get 1? Can he get 2? Can he get 3? Can he win the series? He got 1, but still he got 1. He was great in the 1, and they won because he was great in the 1. So now same deal with Tyrese Halliburton. I'll be watching that. How great will Tyrese Halliburton be? Can he get 1 game against this team? Maybe. Can he get more? I'd be shocked if he does. But that is what I'll be watching for, Dylan. And thank you again for finding the PM Lounge and carrying over from the after dark sessions that we've been doing throughout the majority of these playoffs. Next in is the Enforcer, who, again, I don't know what these guys do. Like, when do you guys sleep? You were up with me till, in some instances, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. On the live streams at nights. And now here we are just over noon on the East Coast in the USA. And I'm just getting these same guys are just coming in and finding us here in the afternoon. So I appreciate you guys traveling to different time zones or whatever, different time slots, I guess I should say, and continuing to support us here in the lounge. I appreciate that. Enforcer, welcome into the party. I appreciate you. Gary, go ahead and read that one for us.
How long until we have a compelling, exciting finals again? I stopped watching long ago, but the Lakers-Celtics 2010 finals was top-notch and likely the most recent exciting finals.
Yeah, that was a great finals. Obviously, one of my favorites of all time, being a huge Kobe fan that I am. That was his 5th championship. So, that, as Kobe said in the post-game press conference, when asked what it meant to him, it meant that he had one more than Shaq, was his first takeaway. So that was the one that gave him one more than Shaq, if you will. It's the one that drew him within one of Michael at the time. So his 5th ring, I thought, that really etched him. That would have been a tough loss. It would have been a loss to their bitter, hated rival, historical rival, Celtics. And it would have been a home Game 7 loss, which would have been a bitter pill to swallow. And finally, it would have been a loss to the team that beat them 2 years ago in the finals. So him winning that probably is my personal favorite finals ever. That Game 7, one of my favorite games ever. Just the defensive slugfest that it was. I believe the final score, 83-79 in Game 7. Just a ridiculous, heated defensive battle between those two teams. Think about that, boys and girls. 83-79 final score in Game 7 of an NBA final series, which featured 7 Hall of Famers, 6 or 7 Hall of Famers. But yeah, we haven't seen really anything like that. There's just such a huge discrepancy from West to East. There has been for years. It's why we really haven't had many compelling final series for 25, 30 years. I don't know, Enforcer. Really, I think this year could have been fun had Boston not shat themselves and then not got the Tatum injury. Had it been Boston and Oklahoma City, I think we might have gotten something special there, because Boston would have been playing for back-to-back. They have been there, done that. They won the championship last year. They had the experience. They had the veteran leadership. They had the talent to match Oklahoma City. And then Oklahoma City, of course, the young, unproven team trying to get over the hump, even though I think the better team. But I think that could have been a special one. Cavs would have been fun. The best offense in the NBA versus the best defense in the NBA. I think that clash of contrast and styles would have been intriguing. But unfortunately, we don't get those things. The Cavaliers got derailed by injury. Boston got derailed by the aforementioned shat in their pants. And, it is what it is. We get the 4th or 5th best team in the conference in the Pacers, the 13th best team in the NBA, playing one of the historically greatest regular season teams ever. So this is going to be, Enforcer, unfortunately for us, not only is it not going to be compelling, it's not even going to be remotely entertaining in my estimation. It's just going to be one of the most non-competitive series we've seen in recent memory. If what happens, what I think is going to happen, we'll find out tomorrow night with our first look in Game 1, probably 8 or 8:30. Speaking of the PM Lounge or the After Dark Lounge area for Skap Lives, we will be back to that format following the NBA Finals games. You're going to probably go ahead and jump on maybe in the fourth quarter or just when the games go final for how many ever games there might potentially be in this series. My guess is 4 or 5, but who knows? Stranger things have happened, and I'll be on afterwards covering them all in the lounge if you guys want to join. And I know many of you will, because like I said, you keep finding me just like Jolly Joshams, another after dark Skap Lounge participant and sponsor, has found us now here in the PM Lounge. So many thanks to you, Jolly, for your continued support, generosity, and for just finding us in this new time slot. Gary, go ahead and read the question or comment here.
Waking up to alive. Nice talking about football. Nice. Wouldn't mind seeing more of this there in the fall.
Yeah, Gary got me all heated up on this. Gary asked me, for those of you we won't necessarily rehash, but Gary asked me what would this be? What would this upset be if the Pacers won? To me, my answer was, I don't really even necessarily like to cross compare sports or whatever, but my answer was the biggest upset in NBA history. He wanted to know in all of sports. Then he went to Buster Douglas, which, granted, I would probably say Buster Douglas was probably a bigger upset than anything we've seen in team sports. But if we're talking just team sports, I went back because I'm a big NFL, an avid NFL fan and watcher, and I do plan on doing more NFL coverage moving forward into the offseason and during the NFL season. Could be doing some lives there. So yes, that is possible for sure. But I went back to me, what is still one of the most stunning. Now we look back in hindsight and revisionism and say, oh, well, that was Tom Brady. That was the legendary GOAT, maybe the all-time sports GOAT of any sport, Tom Brady. And the legend that he was in that dynastic Patriots team, but it wasn't. That wasn't what they were. Not that year. They were playing the dynasty, or the trying to be the budding dynasty in the Rams that had a historical season on the heels of 3 ridiculous years. Like, just think about that. And I don't want to go down an NFL rabbit hole, but try to wrap your head around a team that has 1 league MVP, wins a Super Bowl, then the next year they have a second player on that same team win a different MVP. Then the third year, the original guy wins another MVP. Like, it was crazy how loaded that team was, and they were elite defensively too. That team was so damn good. Growing up in Pittsburgh and being a huge Steelers fan that I was, being in the stadium and watching that 9.5-point underdog Patriots team beat my Steelers to advance to the Super Bowl. The only solace I had, like I've said in this lounge area about the Knicks, take solace in your choke job against the Pacers, because you weren't going to win anyway. Like, what does it matter really? Like, you were going to go get eviscerated in the finals by the Thunder anyway. So me, young Skap, I was probably, I don't know, in 2000, I was like a teenager still, actually. Yeah, I was like 16 or 17 or something like that. Young Skap with my dad in the stands, watching my beloved Steelers knocked out by the Patriots. I'm like, well, who cares? Like, we were going to get absolutely destroyed in the Super Bowl. Who really cares? This was going to be like, to me, that Super Bowl for the Steelers would have been like the Chargers, which, speaking of the Steelers, the Chargers lost a heartbreaker as 9-point favorites to the Chargers like a year or two before, or a couple years before in the 90s, when then the Chargers went and played the Steve Young 49ers in the Super Bowl and got absolutely worked, like 55-10. To me, I'm thinking like, oh, well, like, we lost that heartbreaker at home to the Chargers. Then the Chargers went and got stampeded by the 49ers in the Super Bowl. Same deal would have been coming for us in 2 weeks against those Rams. No chance at all in winning that. And then, of course, the Patriots go and literally shock the entire sports world. I still think back on that and think it still is just such a mind-boggling outcome. But Gary disagrees. Gary, in a LeBron-esque type prognostication, when LeBron projected the 81-point Kobe game, Gary didn't think that any of those were very big.
All season, I had this friend who hated Tom Brady. And we were watching.
Why, Gary?
What?
He was nobody. Gary, Tom Brady wasn't hateable then. He was a nobody. He was a college backup and it never should have been in the NFL. He was a 7th-round draft pick. Nobody hated Tom Brady at that point. He was a nobody. Nobody knew who he was.
Jay, are you seriously telling me that I'm lying to you about
14 games?
I didn't even get to tell you this. Never mind. I'll just go. I'll just be quiet.
He played.
I guess I'm lying about.
Gary, he played 13 or 14 games that year. He had 18 touchdowns, 12. He had 18 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, and 28.
I can't even talk. I'm in mid sentence, and you're talking over me. I'll just get to the super chat.
Why does he hate him, Gary? Why was Tom Brady hated by your friend?
She hated him because she felt like she was tired of all the. She said he's not that good. The media were talking about his games throughout the regular season. They went on a winning streak that year.
We're watching different leagues, my man. Like we just watched different things that year.
Anyways, I was watching the Raiders Patriots game at her house, and she was livid. And she said he got so lucky. That was a BS call, just like what you said. And she's like, he is going to get murdered next week by Pittsburgh. And I started laughing. And I said, he's going to beat Pittsburgh. They're going to win. And then they won. And she was mad. And I didn't say he's going to win the Super Bowl. But I wasn't surprised because he kept winning. What was their record of regular? Did they not have a big winning streak in the regular season?
They were 11-5. They were good.
Right. The
Rams were 14-2. Gary. They had over 100 more points.
That doesn't matter. That does not matter. How many offensive teams have dominated offensively throughout the regular season? And
the Rams were equivalently rated defensively that year than the Patriots.
Right.
They were.
I understand. I don't know what the argument's about. All I did was make a statement.
Gary, the argument is because you just dismissively were like, "Oh, that wasn't a big upset." What are you talking about?
I said I wasn't surprised.
Like, what do you even mean, Skap? That wasn't a big upset at all.
I said I wasn't.
That's what the argument is about.
I said I wasn't surprised. All I did was tell you my opinion. I told you I wasn't personally surprised. I was floored when I saw Buster Douglas knock out Mike Tyson, when I saw Holly Holm beat Ronda. But I'm talking about
team sports. Name me a team sport that's a bigger upset than that Patriots-Rams game that you think.
I thought the Mavericks beating the Heat were.
Totally.
That was a huge upset. That was a huge upset in my opinion.
Totally disagree.
Well, and that's fine.
I wasn't that surprised by that.
And see, the difference is I'm not telling you that you're lying. I don't know why you can tell me that I am lying. Like, do I need to put my hand on the Bible to prove I'm not lying? I just wasn't I was slightly surprised, but not that much, because I had seen Tom Brady eking out victories all year. And I know that teams that are really highly offensive, a lot of times they get beat in the playoffs. That happened with Peyton Manning a lot. That happened with a lot of teams.
Okay, fine, fair. I will say I've seen every NFL playoff game since roughly 1995. So from 95 to 2025, whatever that is, 30 years, 35 years, whatever, 30 years. I have watched literally every single playoff game in the NFL. Literally, this isn't like hyperbolic. I have not missed a single playoff game in 30 years. That's the biggest upset I've ever seen in my entire lifetime. And I've bet a lot on these games, and I read the line. I read the lines. I'm an avid follower of the lines and so forth. To me, when you throw all of it together, that is the most shocking individual game I've ever seen in my lifetime. So I guess we just have to agree to disagree on that.
Well, I thought we already did disagree. I didn't think we had to agree to disagree. I thought that was evident, and it's fine. It's just my opinion. Listen, I have emotion when I watch sports. I'm saying when the Patriots beat the Rams, I was not overcome with surprise or shock or awe. I was like, yeah, I thought there was a chance Brady would do it. I said I thought the Rams would probably win, but I wasn't shocked. That's all I'm saying, and I'm getting yelled at, and I don't know what just happened here. All I said was I wasn't that surprised. And you're saying you weren't surprised by the Mavericks beating the Heat. And I believe
here's the thing, though. I don't want to spend too much time. I don't want to spend too much time on the NFL right now. We've already spent a lot of time on the NFL, but the Rams team was historically great that year. It was a historic, and you didn't think they were historically great that year.
No, because they won the Super Bowl 2 years before that, and then the next year they didn't win. And teams are always up and down in the NFL, and regular season doesn't matter in the playoffs. I've been watching since 1983, and I've just seen a lot. I remember the Dan Marino. He was supposed to be so good at the highest offense and then got dominated in the Super Bowl. And I've seen that happen time and time again where teams get dominated.
Who'd they play in the Super Bowl, Gary?
The Niners.
So he was supposed to win that Super Bowl, you're telling me?
No, well, I was a kid, but I remember that year, Marino, that all the hype. I do remember how much hype was around Marino and that offense. I specifically remember that. So all I'm saying is that just because you have a really good offense does not necessarily mean you're going to win in the playoffs or the Super Bowl.
Gary, point in fact, if you have the better defense, you're probably going to win. Like, and if you look at whichever quarterback has the best defense is typically going to win. The thing is, the Rams were just as good defensively as the Patriots were that year. So the defenses were a total wash. So then the Rams had two league MVPs, the last two league MVPs on their team, including a quarterback, and two Hall of Fame wide receivers. So you kind of look at that and say, oh boy, a comparably great defense with a team that just won a Super Bowl 2 years ago that has two league MVPs and elite all-time offense to go with their one of the league best defenses that was 14-2, that had a 230-point differential. Oh boy, that team should probably obliterate this team with a guy that shouldn't really even be in the NFL that just came on and has been managing games for half the year.
I was more surprised when the Giants beat the Patriots in that record year. I was more surprised by that.
That was also shocking, Gary. Not even close to the line, though, from Vegas.
No, but that's the thing. I don't look at it. I don't know anything about it.
Gary, here's the thing. You might not care about it, but there are industry insiders that set those lines that are literal geniuses and experts at the league, at the trends, at the officials, the injuries.
I don't doubt that. I'm not disputing that. I'm just telling you I'm just telling you when I watch something, if I feel surprised by something or not. That's all.
We should have just stuck to NBA. In terms of when you asked me what this would mean if the Pacers won. The biggest upset in NBA history should have been where we left that comment.
I thought it was the biggest in NBA. That's why I went outside the NBA, because I already assumed that it was. Because to me, the biggest upset, the last biggest upset was when Holly Holm beat Ronda Rousey. And that was another thing. Ronda Rousey, she was a betting favorite too. So that's what I'm saying.
Well, Gary, that's typically what happens with big upsets is a big betting favorite loses. Like that's typically part of how we decipher favorites and underdogs and big upsets and stuff is what they are favored by. That's why I talked about the line 2 nights or 3 nights ago or whenever it was when the Pacers won, and I said I think the Thunder might open at -2,000, which would have been tied for the biggest favorite in NBA history. But it's much shorter odds than that. 750 is where we settle in now. Jolly Josham's actually back-to-back super chats. Thank you very much, Jolly, for coming in back-to-back here on us. But you are, again, plunging us back into the NFL, which I'm trying to fight to get away from. But still, nonetheless, thank you for your generosity in back-to-back sponsorships of us. So, Gary, go ahead and read this next NFL-based comment, which is sure to get me to say something more about the NFL.
Gary loved rookie Brady the way I loved Kyle Orton as a Bears fan. It just so happened Brady was actually a diamond in the rough.
Yeah, I think, look, again, Tom Brady, I don't want to Tom Brady. I hated Tom Brady as much as I hate LeBron. Anyone that knows me, follows my content, knows that I dislike LeBron James a lot. He is my most hated athlete probably ever. But before there was LeBron James, there was Tom Brady. As I said, I was in the stadium in 2001 or whenever the Patriots beat the Steelers. I then waited like 4 long years for my Steelers to get another crack at the Patriots. It was 2004, again, at home in the AFC Championship game. The Steelers were 15-1 that year. And again, the Patriots beat us and went on and won the Super Bowl. So 2 times in like 4 or 5 years, the Patriots beat my Steelers and won the Super Bowl. So I hated Tom Brady. Not only that, but I was a big Peyton Manning fan back then. So I thought Tom Brady, very overrated, 3 Super Bowls, and total game manager, blah, 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 like all Belichick, all good defenses. I was a hater. But Brady, through his sheer force of will to be great, forced my eventual respect and then admiration and now love. Tom Brady is now from my most hated athlete ever to my second favorite athlete ever, behind only Kobe Bryant. So I know Tom Brady's career better than anybody else. Like, as well as I know, everybody knows me for Kobe or LeBron. I know LeBron's career so well in context of Kobe. Like, I only know LeBron and chip away at LeBron because I think he's so overrated in the context of he never surpassed Kobe. And for some reason, we put him next to Jordan. That's complete and total BS to me. And it happened in a concurrent era. So, like, I know Kobe. I know Kobe's career like it's the back of my hand. Therefore, I know LeBron's career like it's the back of my hand. So, too, do I know Tom Brady's career like it's the back of my hand because he's my second favorite athlete ever. When I love guys or hate them, either way, I study, evaluate, and delve into them like nothing else. I know everything there is to know about Tom Brady. And he wasn't Tom Brady in that first Super Bowl. Like, I guess he was because he won at the end. But like it's a once out of 1,000. Like, if you play that game 1,000 times, the Rams would have won it 999 times. But it was just that one weird, flukish day that they played that Super Bowl on, that game happened. It still blows my mind that the Patriots won that Super Bowl. But Kyle Orton, though, Jolly Joshams, is a bum, I have to say. The fact that you constructed a sentence involving Tom Brady and Kyle Orton is crazy to me. But I think Gary wanted to add something in here about our football conversation here. Go ahead, Gary.
Oh, no, I'm good.
Oh, okay. We have next Massive Dumper in. Massive Dumper in yet again. Yet another, I should say, carryover from the Skap After Dark Lounge, coming in for the PM Lounge, the early afternoon lounge, if you will. Massive Dumper, I love the handle because I am so sophomoric and juvenile with my sense of humor. So I do love the Massive Dumper handle there. Go ahead, Massive Dumper. Dump on us here, whatever you will, via moderator Gary's read. Go ahead.
Would the Pacers win if they had the 6-0? Is that supposed to be the GOAT? Is that supposed to be LeBron?
I think so. The 6 losses in the finals GOAT. No, Massive Dumper. I do not think the Pacers would win if they had the 6 losses GOAT, LeBron. There aren't many one-man additions you can make to the Pacers to give them a fighting chance in this series, in my estimation, against Oklahoma City. Maybe Nikola Jokic or Giannis Antetokounmpo. Maybe. Like, that would be it. Like, if you just dumped Massive Dumper, if you just dumped one of those 2 dudes on this lineup, meaning Jokic or Giannis, maybe then there would be a fighting chance for the Pacers. Still, though, I don't know that they would win or that I would consider them even favored, even if they had one of those 2 players. That's how good this Oklahoma City Thunder team is. That's how highly I regard this Thunder team. We've got This Isn't What You Expected in. Welcome in to the afternoon lounge here. This Isn't What You Expected. And thank you so much for supporting us here in the lounge. Gary, go ahead and read this question or comment from This Isn't What You Expected.
It's the Shea agenda versus the Halliburton agenda, basically.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that there is a Halliburton agenda, quite frankly. There certainly is a Shea agenda, I think. And Shea is a great player. I get labeled for some reason, I think unfairly, as bit of a SGA hater. I'm not. I've made a multitude of videos, like 3-4 videos on Shea, and then 6-7 videos on the Thunder, if not more than that on the Thunder, about how good they are. And I've talked how good he is. I compare him to Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan in one of my videos. Of course, people know what I think about Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan for that matter. So how I've been labeled a hater, it's just ridiculous to me. It's because I refuse to accept or admit or say an outright inaccuracy or a lie that Shea is better or more valuable than Jokic. He isn't. So I've just been saying the truth all year that Jokic is the best player on earth, is the most valuable player in the NBA. So because of that, I get labeled as a hater. But I will say this: there is some kind of an agenda building for Shea because, well, he ran away with the MVP award, and like I said, he isn't the MVP. So there is this push to make him this historical entity. Maybe he will become that at some point. I think the excellence of the Thunder, the dominance of the Thunder, is more. I'd say the primary narrative about that, or the primary takeaway, should be realistically the team building and the job done by Sam Presti. In my opinion, this is about the strength of the team, how well this team is constructed, how ludicrous it is that they have still so many draft assets as well, having them be positioned where they are now with such an elite roster, all young, all on extended contracts. I think that's the conversation to be had, not the Shea. Like, we're trying to make this like Shea is Jordan, basically. It ain't that. Like, this team is just such a well-constructed beast from 1 through 10. But I guess, look, when we have a dynastic team, the main player gets the majority of the fruits of that, right? So like Jordan was the guy that got the ink for that dynastic team. Like the Lakers, like Magic is primarily the takeaway from the 80s. Bird, the takeaway from the Celtics in the 80s. You had Steph Curry is the takeaway for the Golden State Warriors. So I guess it's just par for the course. I think the Thunder are going to win 3 or 4 titles over the next 5 or 6 years. And when that happens, Shea will likely be garnering top 10, 15 all-time conversations. That just is the arrangement. It's the deal, so to speak, that has been made for all of these best players on the great dynastic teams that we see. I think the Thunder will be that. Therefore, I guess Shea will be that. The Halliburton agenda, I don't know about that. I think he's primarily, people have just been saying how overrated he is all postseason. I think he's just trying to refute that and go against and reject that. I think he has. I've seen enough from him to say he's not overrated. He is a fringe top 10 guy, but he's going to look real bad in this series. So I think all the haters will be back out in full force when they get obliterated in this, and he's probably going to get individually humiliated in a number of games. So I'm sure the haters will be out. Next, we've got Samson the Current, who is, yet again, I know I sound like a broken record, another regular from the After Dark area that we've done all playoffs long following these games. Late night, Samson the Current now comes in during the afternoon, the early afternoon at that. It's 12:30 now in the PM on the East Coast in the USA, where myself and moderator Gary are coming from. And yet Samson the Current, as with all the rest of you guys, have found us. So I really greatly do appreciate you guys for doing so and for coming over here and for tuning in. Gary, what does Samson have for us this time?
Was hoping Cavs would get one without Braun legacy gone.
Yeah, I was kind of rooting. I don't root for much other than compelling storylines and things that I could talk about. So I'd say I go into the NBA every year more so rooting against things. Primarily, I don't want to see Steph Curry win another ring because I don't want him to have 5, because I think what that will do to his legacy and the conversation surrounding him will be just to blow him so far out of proportion. He'll be in Mount Rushmore conversations, GOAT conversations. I don't think he belongs there. So I root against them every year. First and foremost, the team I do not want to see win, really not the team, just the guy. I don't want LeBron to ever win anything else. I don't think he deserves any of the 4 he does have. I certainly don't want him to get a 5th. So I basically every year I go in every year, please basketball gods, let it be anything but LeBron or Steph. in recent years, I've become a big fan of Nikola Jokic and Giannis Antetokounmpo. So essentially my hierarchy, my board of rootings looks for first Jokic, then Giannis, then not LeBron, not Steph. After that, I don't really care. But I think as the year went on, I really started to like what the Cavs were doing. I like the way their team's built. I like their head coach there. And I was just kind of started rooting. Then you get the whole storyline of the Cavs getting one, like you said, without LeBron. So I think I'm with you. I was rooting kind of when the playoffs began. My dream matchup at the very beginning of the playoffs, my dream would have been Nuggets, Cavs. Then when we went on, I moved to Nuggets, Knicks. Obviously, as is mostly the case in sports, I get nothing what I want. I don't get anything that I want in sports. I typically just have these terrible outcomes that I hate most of the time, at least in the last 10 to 15 years or so. So of course it's not surprising that we get something I didn't want. However, this is more of a neutral finals for me. I don't have anything against either one of these teams. It's just not the one that I would have picked, not any one of the options I would have selected to start the playoffs. But look, I knew where we were heading with the Thunder. I knew it. I've been calling it all year. I've been calling it for 8 or 9 months now. I've been saying Thunder easily will cakewalk to the championship this year. We're 4 games away from that being the case. La Mercado Inc. is in now, which I think might be a new sponsor here in the lounge. So many thanks to you, La Mercado Inc., for joining us, at least in the sponsorship area of the lounge. I do not recognize the name. So many thanks for you for coming in and sponsoring us here in the lounge. I do appreciate that, and I appreciate you. Gary, go ahead and read this one from La Mercado.
Why is the NBA and Adam Silver so invested internationally, but shows no interest growing back the league domestically, especially with the ratings collapsing here in America?
Yeah, it's a great question. Silver has been obsessed with the spread, the global spread of the NBA, which no disrespect there. As I said earlier in the stream, Skap is a global brand. You know, I've only got about 56% of my audience in the USA. So the rest, shout out to all of you guys around the globe supporting Skap and in the lounge right now, potentially as well. But Silver has been obsessed basically since the takeover from Stern. And look, Stern was equally kind of obsessed with the globalization of the NBA. I think it kind of happened. It started at least in the 92 games, I think in Barcelona, I want to say, where the Dream Team, the first iteration of the Dream Team, the real Dream Team, arguably the greatest team ever assembled in basketball history. The Michael, Magic, Larry, and all of the others that went along for that one. That really started the spread of basketball, I think, on a global stage. It really started these other countries taking their pro basketball more seriously. And now look at the fruits that that's yielded. The best players in the world today are not American. You could say in any particular order, Jokic, Giannis, Luka, Shea, and maybe a healthy Embiid, if you want to throw a healthy Embiid in there. You could make a case that the 5 best players on the face of this planet are not American. I think probably the best basketball country is still the United States. But if you just amassed a dream, like an all-star team, which maybe we're matriculating in this direction because Giannis retweeted something or reposted something to his social media saying that this is the direction we should go. It's been talked about for years. A world versus the U.S. If you did that in the all-star game and just amassed like a global all-star team versus a united all-star team, I think the world would win easily. I think because like I've been saying, I think the best players in the world are not from America. So that's all product, I think, of the 92 games, but also a push from Adam Silver's to get it into other markets. And from what I hear, from what I understand, Silver, he wants to have like a European division. So he wants 3 or 4 teams, who knows, maybe more over in Europe. And then I guess teams from America will go and play the European swing. They'll just stay there for, 10 days, 12, 13 days and just play all of the European. Then the European teams will come and play, obviously, an American trip, and then they'll play each other over there. But to your point, the American product is just decaying. I think it is. Not only is the NBA at an all-time low in popularity, I think that will be bared out in these finals. I'm intrigued to see what the numbers are. The previous all-time lows since tracking data became a thing when we're keeping an eye in terms of viewership, audience share on this. The lowest audience share or viewership per game in NBA Finals history was about 7.5 million viewers per night in the 2020 bubble finals that pitted LeBron, of course, against the Heat. Then you have to go back to the Nets and Spurs with about 9.5 million per game that tuned into that. Those are the only two finals in NBA history that were under 10 million viewers per game. So I'm very intrigued to see where this one lands. I think this one could threaten those numbers. I think it might be below 10 million. Even though we have a budding dynasty, that is just what they are, a budding dynasty. They're not an established household name yet. And then, of course, two small market teams, a massive mismatch, probably a non-compelling series. So you add all those factors up, and I think that this has the makings to be a very underwatched finals. And I'm looking forward to see what the numbers look like in the entire playoffs whenever that data goes final. So I'll probably be doing a video on that. But the product is poor here in America, I think, primarily because these guys don't compete at a high enough level throughout the majority of the season. I've talked a lot about that in terms of the way they compete on the defensive end. It's just not compelling to see guys jogging up and down the court, making wide open dunks and layups, shooting uncontested threes. It's not a compelling product. Now, they've been defending harder in the playoffs. Scoring is down across the board in the playoffs over the last couple years. But in order to get back to where the NBA was in its zenith, in its golden era, the NBA has a lot of work to do. And you're right. Maybe they should start focusing on doing it here in the United States of America. That starts, by the way, I don't want to get off on a soapbox or go on this long tangent or tirade about this, but that starts with fixing the youth issues with AAU basketball. I think just the way things are being run at that level is really setting the stage to get us to this lack of competition and the poor watered down product we have. Is it any wonder that the European product and the European players coming in, and not just European, but players from all across the world, that they just are better than the American players at this point because they actually have fundamentals and skills. They do more than just jack up 3-pointers or try to dunk every time. Like it really is a commentary. It's a trickle down effect. I think you have to start at the base level with the young kids here in this country and just build up an importance in actual tangible basketball skills, and also like a desire and a willingness to compete and play defense again. It's not an easy answer, La Mercado, but you're right. Maybe, just maybe, the upper crust of the NBA offices should start focusing on it here rather than trying to branch it out elsewhere before it's fixed here. Good point. And welcome back in to Dylan Davis. Oh boy, here we go. Dylan is one of these guys that is calling for the Pacers. Go ahead, Gary, and read this one from Dylan.
Pascal and Turner greater than Chet and Hartenstein. I call 6 games. I call BS.
Yeah, I don't see that one, Dylan. I just don't see it happening. First of all, I do really like Pascal Siakam. He might be. If we were to rank the hierarchy of players in this series, maybe Halliburton is 2. Shea's obviously 1, and then after that, I don't know where you might want to slate Pascal Siakam. Maybe as high as 3 or 4. But when you look at like the top 8 or 9 players in this series, I think I would say 7 of them are on the Thunder to me. And I think Chet, Holmgren, and Jalen Williams and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander don't get enough credit for being like an elite top 3. I think Chet Holmgren, I've been saying it, I think he's their second best player, but he didn't play enough to be designated for any of these all league selections or rankings or anything like that. So therefore, in lieu of him not being there, Jalen Williams, to me, the third best player, steps up. He's all NBA. He's all NBA defense and an all-star. I mean, I think Chet Holmgren is a perennial all-NBA, all-star kind of candidate. And then, of course, Shea is going to be first-team all-NBA for the next, 8 years and, a top 3 MVP finalist probably for the next 8 years. So, that's a pretty elite top 3. And then they've got the best bench in the NBA, too. So, it's pick your poison. Then 5 of the top 10 defensive players in the league, 7 of the top 20 defensive players. What's the weakness? What's the hole? I just don't see any way in 6. Wow. I'll be stunned if they win 2 games. I would be stunned if this series even goes 6, 6 being the Thunder winning in 6. If the Pacers win in 6, I mean, that would be an absolute, like I said, the biggest upset in NBA history by a lot in my estimation. Next in Steph, who has found us here again. Steph, a regular, not only to the Skap After Dark Lounge at nights, but also just to my videos. Steph is always one of the first people to comment. Always I see Steph in there in the first hour that I post a video. So Steph, many thanks. Even though Steph disagrees with me on 95% of my takes, I think Steph is always in there contributing and is an avid follower of us here at Skap Attack. So many thanks to you, Steph. Shout out to you and your continued support here in the lounge as well. What's the question or comment here from Steph, Gary?
Who is the greatest point guard? Also OKC in 5.
Well, I mean, shit, I don't think this is much of a debate here. Gary and I probably won't even argue on this one. Gary, who would you say is the best point guard ever?
Is this a point guard ever or right now?
Oh, I'm reading it as ever.
Well, the first one off the top of my head would be Magic Johnson, but he's not really quintessential. He's because he's he's a bit of a unicorn if you think about it. Quintessential. When I think of quintessential point guard, I think of John Stockton. It's the first one to come to mind. I didn't watch Oscar Robertson, but I mean he's right up there. And you got a slew of others, but yeah, probably Magic if I had to pick one.
Yep, like I said, not Gary and I would argue on this. I don't know anyone that would. Magic Johnson's the answer. I guess Steph Curry is technically designated as a point guard, even though to me he's more of a 2. I think Draymond has been the point in times when the Warriors were at their best throughout their dynastic run in the last 10, 12 years. Draymond Green was more of a point guard to me than Steph Curry. Steph is more of the point or more of the 2. Draymond was the point. And so, but look, he's designated technically. They call Steph Curry a point guard. And I see people try to argue or claim that Steph Curry is the greatest point guard. Even if we're calling Steph a point guard, he ain't better than Magic in my book. To me, Magic is the greatest point guard ever. No conversation. If we're going just pure quintessential points, sure, John Stockton, all-time leader in assists and steals, would be brought into the mix. OKC in 5. Steph, I like your call there for sure. I could see it in 4 if they don't get overly complacent in one of these games. Next, Samson the Current is back in. Go ahead and read this one using a little analogy from our football debate earlier on. Go ahead and read this one from Samson.
Perfect analogy. Rams equal Thunder. Rams lost.
That is true. The Rams did lose, and that is why, to me, the NFL and the NBA are markedly different in that the NFL is more like March Madness. The NFL is more like college basketball than pro basketball, because in March Madness, it's just a one-game thing. It's a single-game elimination format. Any crazy, random-ass shit can happen in one game. You can see some 15 seed upset a 2 once. If the 15 played the 2 7 times and had to beat them 4, it would practically never happen. Just like if the Rams, I said earlier, if the Rams and Patriots played 1,000 times, the Rams would have won 999 of them. Let's just suffice it to say, if they played every week for 7 weeks and the winner had to win 4, the Rams obviously would have won that Super Bowl. But it's a one-game elimination. In this situation that we're talking about in the NBA, the Pacers are going to have to do it 4 times out of 7. There is, to me, unless 2 of the top 3 players got hurt in game 1 for the Thunder. That's literally the only way I can imagine this happening. If the Thunder stay clean and don't get hurt, I'm almost at the point where I'm going to say 0%. Like if the Thunder do not suffer, and just one player going out isn't going to be enough, I don't think. Even if it's Shea. If Shea got hurt in game 1 and didn't come back, I would say like Thunder in 6 or 7, probably. If 2 of the 3 got hurt in game 1, maybe Pacers in 7, maybe. I don't know. But the Thunder are just so much better. I just see no way that they could win 4 times out of 7. Are you out of your minds out there? I mean, Samson, I love you. I appreciate your continued support here and generosity of us in the lounge, but I just don't. I got everybody, and this goes for all of you in the comments. As I glance through and flick through and see a lot of people repping the Pacers, I just don't see it at all. I mean, there's just no way. Next in, we've got Yada a Sheep with no question or comment at all. Just wanted to give us a little bit of a sponsorship here and give us some support in the lounge, in the PM lounge. I thank you so much, Yada a Sheep, and shout out to you. I do appreciate that. Massive dumper. Go ahead.
I was going to say, if you go down, Yada's got one. There you go. Yada,
good call, Gary. Good call. Thank you very much. Yada a Sheep is back in with a second super chat. Thank you very much, Yada. I do, like I just said a moment ago, appreciate you very much. Go ahead and read this question or comment.
What do you think about Allen Iverson?
Yeah, I think Allen Iverson highly underrated at this point in NBA history. I think he doesn't get enough respect and admiration. He kind of burnt out earlier on in his career. He didn't have the sustainability or the longevity that we've seen other players recently have. Even players in that era, he just kind of dropped off a cliff at one point. But again, as we know, AI never took practice that seriously. So who knows how well conditioned he was in terms of in that regard. But in all seriousness, he was also a very small player. So he took more of a beating, I think, than others that were, much larger. I think he was listed at 6 feet. I saw Iverson play live a couple times, and I was near the court. The guy's like 5'10", 5'11". So really small player, probably like $150, 155. But the guy, I think he led the league in scoring 4 times, which I've talked about it in the PM lounge several times. Jordan, 10 league scoring crowns, most ever. Wilt with 7, second most ever. No player in NBA history ever had more than 4, and only a few had 4. George Gervin is 1. Kevin Durant is 1. Allen Iverson is another one. I don't know how many other guys had 4, but it's not many. Maybe 1 or 2 other guys. So Allen Iverson is in the handful of greatest scorers of all time. 4 scoring crowns, but he also led the league in steals 3 times. So to have 3 steals crowns as well, really not talked about or appreciated enough. And the guy played an insane amount of minutes. He led the league in minutes per game played, I think 6 or 7 times. And I'm talking like 42, 43 minutes a game, just an outrageous amount of time played. So probably factoring that all in is why he did fall off of a cliff like he did, playing 42, 43 minutes a night at the size that he was for 7, 8 seasons basically in a row. Was just crazy. But I think Iverson is really undervalued and underrespected at this stage. So I'm a big AI fan. Maybe in the off season, Yada a Sheep, I'm going to make a video, maybe like just a did you know video about Iverson, or maybe even just an appreciation video for Allen Iverson. Because as you know, I tend to steer more towards the negatives on my channel, but I do, when I really like a player, I do like to give them their credit and respect. So I probably will do something on AI sometime in this off season. But we do have. I'm sorry, I kind of got. Okay, yes, I knew I skipped something. Okay, Massive Dumper. I'm sorry I jumped you real quick to get to Yada Sheep. Massive Dumper, welcome back in. Thank you again for yet another sponsorship drop here in the lounge. Go ahead, Gary, and read this one from Massive Dumper.
Just wanted to clarify, 6'0" is Jordan versus L3 6 Ron.
Thank you very much for that point of clarification.
So is he saying
Yes,
Jordan
if we put prime Jordan on the Pacers,
yeah, that would change everything.
yes, the Pacers would win. Yes, yes. I said maybe Jokic or Giannis today in today's NBA maybe would get the Pacers a victory in this series. If we put the actual GOAT on, in fact, he's right over both my shoulders. If we put KB, if we put Kobe on the Pacers, on this Pacers team, prime Kobe, I think the Pacers win with Kobe too. So yes, of course. Yes, of course, Michael Jordan on the Pacers, prime Jordan. We're not talking 62, 63-year-old Jordan now, of course. We're not talking current Jordan. We're talking like 95, 96-ish Jordan, maybe even 91 through 93 Jordan. That Jordan with this Pacers team, absolutely massive dumper, would win. Of course, we know with Le 3-6 Ron, LeBron, if LeBron had been put on this Pacers team, I think it would lock the sweep. Right now, I think the Pacers might get one and might push it to a gentleman's sweep, so it might be in 5. If LeBron was on it, I think it would lock in place that it would be a 4-game sweep. So that's what I think LeBron would do for the Pacers' chances. Next, we've got Chuck Norris who Chuck Norris has been a sponsor in the PM. Guys, I'm getting so confused with what time of the day is. It's dark as hell in this room other than these lights. I'm thinking it might be, I'm looking, it's 12:59. I'm thinking it might be 1 a.m. It is, in fact, 1 p.m. where I'm at, but I'm getting these things all confused. Chuck Norris has been in on the After Dark Lounge. He's now in the Afternoon Lounge. He's found us yet another follow over from the nighttime streams that we've been doing. So, Chuck, welcome back into you. He's taking a break from his 10,000 push-ups a day to give us a super chat here. Gary, go ahead and read Chuck Norris's comment here for us.
Completely serious. Boys, we have stumbled on a new platform of the show. Skap debating Gary. Absolute cinema. More, please, topics from super chats.
Gary and I do love to argue and quibble. It does not come across much on the lives. At least it hasn't to this point. We got into it once on KD in the night. Now we got into it on the 2001 Patriots. So really, there are some topics. Generally, as Gary would have you know, we don't disagree on much. That's why, we typically agree on mostly everything, which is why there aren't many debate topics for us, because we agree a lot on things. But there, as we find out today, there are things that we do disagree on. One being the KD, just KD in general, I think. The 2012 and then 2016 KD experience, I think. So we disagree somewhat on the KD stuff, and Steph Curry, I think, too, to some degree. Gary would be the champion of most of my viewers who love Steph Curry. That's the one thing that a lot of you guys give me pushback on, is my take on Steph Curry. I get a lot of feedback, negative feedback on. That's the one thing that you guys typically will go at me on. So Gary would kind of be your champion in that regard. He's a Steph guy. He's a KD guy. So we go back and forth on both Steph and KD. And obviously we go back and forth on the 2001 New England Patriots versus the Rams, the Gray Show on Turf Rams. So yes, if there's obviously opportunities for Gary and I to debate on various things, Chuck Norris. So I'm sure you will probably be seeing more of that at some point in the future. Gary is kind of dragging, I think, by this point of the stream, believe it or not. On the PM streams, so the After Dark Lounge, I typically am up, I get anywhere between, I don't even know, like 3 to 5 hours of sleep a day, maybe 6 hours a day for the last 2 months. But that would be broken up and partitioned throughout the day. I sleep like 2 to 3 hours at most straight. And by the After Dark Lounge, I'm typically on fumes. It's like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, sometimes as late as 3 a.m. my time. And I've been up since 9, 10 a.m. probably. So I'm on just fumes. Gary, however, goes to bed like now. And then he'll get up at like 9 or 10. So Gary is very fresh for the After Dark Lounge. But this is like Gary's night. So now Gary is basically, this is pretty much, we're pushing up abetting Gary's bedtime. So we're going to get out of here shortly and let Gary get to bed. So
I
he's
was actually up. I got up at 10 p.m. and worked on that new video about KD and LeBron and Jordan. I just got it finished. I will have it uploaded in a little while.
So there you have it.
If anybody wants to check it out, I'm putting a link to my channel in the chat. Even if you guys are disagreeing with the other things I was saying, I think you will like some of these videos I'm making. If you like Skap's videos, it's probably a lot to do with LeBron. And Skap and I both have a lot of similar thoughts on LeBron, and I have some even different. I expand on things even Skap doesn't talk about at times. That's why the video takes so long. That's why it turned out to be a 35-minute video. I thought it was going to be like 10 minutes. I said 35-minute. My last one that's 43 was supposed to be like 10 minutes. So
there you go, guys. Make sure you check that out. And Gary will hopefully get that up shortly. And then Gary will be off to bed. And then, of course, it's Wednesday today, so he'll be nice and rested for our probably around 10:30 or 11 p.m. tomorrow night after game one. What I'm expecting to be like a 35-point Thunder win. Many of you in the live chat right now are thinking that the Pacers are going to win game one. Yeah, we'll see about that. I don't see that coming. But we've got Jason Price in again. Jason Price, just a carryover from the After Dark Lounge into the Afternoon Lounge. Jason Price, thank you for finding us and for continually supporting us. Gary, go ahead and read this one from Jason for us.
I think that basketball is bad now. Narrative is played out. OKC playing quality basketball, top to bottom, best in a long time.
Couldn't agree more. I think people take my videos, I think, out of context. I write things like I'll do a Thunder video and write dynasty or unbeatable, or I'll say they're the best team ever, the best regular season team ever. I'm not necessarily making a commentary on like they'll beat the 86 Celtics or the 87 Lakers or the 96 Bulls or the 2001 Lakers. Like I'm not, or even the 17 Warriors. I'm not saying those things. What I'm saying is from their competitive set of, peers, they are as good or better than any team ever. And you just have to say that they are. When you look at their differential, when you look at their SRS model, when you look at the way they've gone through the playoffs and the way they're ultimately going to end these playoffs off, I think you can make a case based on their competitive peer set. They are the best team ever. Now, I don't think they would beat any of the teams I just mentioned. I don't think they would beat the 72 Lakers, probably not the 71 Bucks. Like I can maybe come up with 10, the 83 Sixers. I could probably come up with 10 teams that I think are better that would beat this team, but they are unbeatable in the context of the modern game. Like I don't see in today's NBA, there's no way I think they can be beaten. I said that before the season, and I think moving forward, unless some crazy trade that we haven't been able to speculate, like Giannis going to somewhere and some team building like a super pairing, like I don't see any way that the Thunder lose other than injuries. So, I mean, I agree. They are one of the best teams we've seen in recent memory. They are the best team since the Warriors, since the Kevin Durant Warriors, which I know wasn't that long ago. But to get to a better team before the Kevin Durant Warriors, you have to go back to like the 2000 and 2001 Lakers. So it's like, 18 years before that. And then the Bulls before that. And then who knows, the 80s Lakers. So it's like, it's hard to find a team that is as great, as stacked, and as well positioned for continued dominance as this Thunder team is right now. We've got BRCA or BRKA in from overseas. I believe, I want to say, Gary, I want to say RSD is.
I can look it up.
I don't want to presume, but I think this is one of my brethren coming from we'll just call it the Yoke country.
Serbia. Yeah.
Serbia. Yes. Okay. I didn't want to jump too far ahead of myself, but I was pretty certain that RSD and BRCA, because I recognize again, BRKA or Braca from our PM streams and from our, After Dark Lounge. That, yes, indeed, one of my Serbian supporters. So shout out to you for coming in and finding us. Oh, and Marco, he's referenced Marco, I see, who Marco's another one of my Serbian brethren from over there. So go ahead and read this one from Braca, Gary.
I think me and Marco should buy you your own Yugo.
Oh. What's a Yugo? I want to know what Yugo is. Oh boy. Is Yugo, Gary? I'm gonna let. Can you? Is it a vehicle? I think it might be a vehicle.
That's what the first thing I thought. Yeah.
So
I remember they were in America in like the 80s, but I don't think they're around here anymore. But they're supposed to be real small.
So right.
So I guess it's popular in Serbia, I guess.
Like a smaller compact over. Yeah. So quick backstory here. Marco had been offering to drive me around Serbia if I could get it in the old itinerary sometime this off season. Come and check out you guys. And so I have a big following in Serbia, probably because I'm such an avid defender and supporter of Nikola Jokic. But Braca here is suggesting that rather than me get my personal drive, one of you guys to graciously drive me around, maybe you guys just buy me some car that I can just drive around the motherland in myself when I come over. Again, I am not Serbian, but my last name is Skapanak, thus the Skap Attack. I am like Czechoslovakian, so same vicinity, if you will. And of course, I love the great Nikola Jokic. And my main man, Darko Rajakovic, I believe, is also Serbian, who any of you that are avid followers of the Skap Attack videos know that I love my Darko Rajakovic drop. It's a complete crap. One of my favorite all-time drops and audio sound bites in all of history. I'm pretty sure Darko is also Serbian. So I'm a big friend of Serbia. Serbia, therefore, loves me. I'd love to get over and see Serbia, and maybe Braca here and Marco will have a Yugo waiting for me when I get off the plane. Shout out to you, Braca, coming in from Serbia again, finding us in this new early time slot. I guess early depends on how you're looking at it. Actually, oh wait, it was Braca. I have misremembered. Marco was not offering to drive us around. It was in fact Braca here. And I don't know, I'm probably mispronouncing whatever this is, BRKA. It was actually Braca that has offered to drive us around. So my goodness, I'm sorry to confuse that. Marco is just another one that you reference. He's another one that comes in and supports our streams here every time we're in, for the most part. So I'm sorry to I was going to say misremember. Sorry to confuse that, Braca, and shout out to you for offering not only the ride, but now the vehicle. I do appreciate that. And of course, if I do come in, I will 100%. I will 100% take you up on that. Maybe not take you up on the offer, but let you know I'm there. We'll have to at least get together for a drink. Maybe we'll do like a live stream from some pub, bar, establishment or whatever. And you guys that support the Skap stream can come and we can have like a live stream at a bar, have a couple beverages together and chat hoops. And Braca is back. And again, all right, Gary, go ahead and clarify what Yugo is for us.
Yugo is our national and only car from Yugoslavia.
There you have it. So it is a vehicle, and it's from Yugoslavia. Interesting. So there you have it. Braca, like I said, I will be in touch. I'm considering some kind of a European trip this off season potentially. So stay tuned for that. I will be maybe live streaming from the road. And then if I do the European trip, now at this point, I'm gonna have to make Serbia work. So stay in touch, Braca. I will be in touch is what I should say. And we will figure something out for sure. And now back up to the enforcer who is in again. The enforcer who is a very generous benefactor of us, very generous sponsor of the the Skap After Dark and now the Skap Afternoon Lounge. So many thanks to you, Enforcer. Welcome back. And yet again, Gary, go ahead and read this latest question or comment from the Enforcer.
Speaking of Iverson, who do you think has the better handles, AI or Kyrie? AI was the better player, of course, with defense, etc. I'm hoping Kyrie can recover from the ACL. I'm about to have my third ACL reconstruction.
Oh, yikes. Well, definitely shout out to you, Enforcer. Good luck and best wishes on the recovery, on the rehab of that. Hopefully they're not all three in the same knee. That would be pretty brutal. They should just remove your entire ACL if that is the case. Man, that would be brutal. Either way, third, either way, not good. So many wishes, well wishes for you for a speedy recovery, hopefully. And that's a great question, actually, in terms of the handles. I think I would actually say Kyrie has the better handle. I think AI is, as you allude to, and as part of your question, you make a comment that AI is the better player. I do agree with that. AI is the better player and the historically more relevant player, had the better career, has the better resume, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But in terms of just specifically, if we're talking handles only, Kyrie has one of the best handles I think I've ever seen. Maybe the best handles that I've ever seen, quite frankly. So great question. Maybe I could do a video breaking that down in particular and see, definitively maybe show some footage of each. It's been a while since I've seen AI footage, but just having Kyrie fresher in my mind, I'm going to have to go with Kyrie very, very slightly. We've got Carlo in now. Carlo's alluding to our time slot change here. Carlo obviously is a big member of the Skap Lounge After Dark. So thank you for finding us, Carlo. But actually, I think Gary Carlo is thanking us for moving to a more beneficial time for him to be able to catch the Skap Live. Go ahead and read that comment from Carlo.
Finally, Skap live streams on, is that Australia time? 2:35 a.m. here.
2:35 a.m. What do you mean that's a better time for you? We've reversed. Now I'm in, the afternoon mode and you're in late night, early morning mode. Like, what do you, I don't know why you're thanking me for doing this at 2:30 a.m. your time. But I guess I'm the one that should be thanking you for tuning in at 2:30 a.m. your time. Thank you very much. I do appreciate you finding us here at this time and for your continued generosity and support of us here in the Skap Live lounge, which whatever time that might be, we are now, guys, in the lounge. So thank you, Carlo. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. Shout out to you coming from Australia, I suppose that is. Next, we have NBA was better in the 80s and 90s, who is a repeat sponsor as well. So many thanks to you for your continued support. NBA was better in the 80s and 90s. Gary, go ahead and read that question or comment.
Finally, mainstream talking about LeBron Bronze.
Finally, mainstream talking about LeBron Bronze. Is Gary, I don't know. Maybe you can help me dissect this or read in. Is NBA was better in the 80s and 90s? Is this just like a general commentary, or is this like referring to me talking about it? I certainly wouldn't presume that I am mainstream. I talk about it a good amount. The mainstream, though, I don't know, does really talk about it. Like
it sounds to me like he's saying that the mainstream media is finally talking about LeBron doing some, suspicious supplements or whatever.
Are they, though?
I don't know. I haven't heard it. I don't know.
I don't think they are. NBA was better in the mainstream, or I'm sorry, NBA was better in the 80s and 90s. I don't know that they are talking about it. I still don't really hear anybody outside of Chow Sonnen that one time. And then Kevin Garnett talked about it too. But both of those guys were on, some kind of streams or podcasts or whatever situations, not too dissimilar from me. Like I'm just, just some person talking on online, like, which is what KG, even though KG, the great Kevin Garnett Hall of Famer that he, either is or will be whenever he's eligible. Gary, you're muted. Go ahead.
He's saying Rick Bucher exposed LeBron on his podcast.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. And now here we go. Let's go ahead and show that. I, by the way, love Rick Bucher. As Kobe Bryant, who is a big Rick Bucher fan, called him Pretty Ricky, was Kobe's gloss for him. So I'm a big fan of Rick Bucher. Rick Bucher is the man, primarily because he's one of the few national pundits that has the courage to still, in 2025, say definitively Kobe Bryant clears LeBron, and it's not that difficult of a conversation to have. Rick Bucher thinks Kobe is firmly and soundly above LeBron, as do I. But Rick is one of the very, very few in the mainstream that is talking or still talking about that, still proclaiming that in the year of 2025. And I guess, according to NBA Was Better in the 80s and 90s, Rick was talking about LeBron's alleged PED use on his podcast. So I'm going to have to actually get in and look into that. Typically, I'm responding. The only reaction or response videos I generally do is when I'm undressing these buffoons in the mainstream media and talking about what scrubbish, loser-like takes they have about LeBron primarily. But in this case, I might have to do a favorable reaction. I might have to just give Rick a shout out and a kudos in some kind of a video and talking and having the courage to talk about this as well. I know I'm jumping around here, but back to Carlo, who is again a regular from our PM, our After Dark lounge. Carlo wants to clarify why 2:35 a.m. his time is his time to listen because Gary, Carlo is a night shift nurse. Okay. So there you have it. That's the reason. Carlo, shout out to you for your continued ongoing support and generosity of me and of Skap Lounge here. And also many thanks to you for being a night shift nurse. I actually am close friends with someone who was previously a night shift nurse. She is not now, but she was at one point. I know that's a difficult job, and it's definitely takes its toll on not only your personal life, obviously, and things you're around and available for, but also it really plays a number on your sleep schedule. I'm taking a bit of that during these playoffs because my sleep schedule's so disjointed and crazed. So Carlo, thank you for your work there. That's a very very honorable, commendable job that you have there. So thank you for that. And again, thank you for your continued support of me here. Next thing, we've got Sully, who Sully's Tech Hub is another big supporter of the Skap Lounge, typically the night, but now Sully also finds us here in the daytime, so to speak. We're approaching 1:20 p.m. my time. So Sully's Tech Hub, welcome into you. Thanks for finding us here. And Gary, go ahead and read this one from Sully.
Only here to support. Got a teaching offer at a university in Czech Republica. So if you go over to Serbia, I'll visit. Stop by Prague.
Well, I would love, Sully, to go to Prague. I would actually love to go to the Czech Republic as well. So those might, maybe they'll all be on my list. Who knows? So maybe I'll get in touch with you. Yes, Sully's Tech Hub is a teacher. For those of you who might not be familiar with Sully, is actually used a video of mine in some kind of a lesson plan, or used it in a lesson with a student. So and then Sully has been a big sponsor of ours and a big supporter of ours ever since. So shout out to you, Sully, and many thanks for locating us here in our new time slot, at least for today. I'll be back to the late streams after the game tomorrow night, and I will be in touch. I would love to see the Czech Republic. I hear many great things about it. So that's something that I would be interested in, a place I'd also be interested in seeing. So maybe I'll just do like a Skap Eastern European swing tour during the summer and do some live streams in various locales around Europe. We'll see. I'll keep you guys all posted on it. Brian Elliott, welcome back into you. Many thanks to you for your continued support and kindness to us. Gary, go ahead and read the question or the comment from Brian here.
Appreciate your insight and knowledge, Skap. Why do you think Kobe is so overlooked and disregarded amongst NBA media and TV personalities? Thanks again for your work.
Well, Brian, thank you. Thank you for your support to me and your kind words. I really do appreciate you, and I appreciate all of you. I really think it has to do a lot with LeBron James, quite frankly. I think intrinsically the two of them are, to me, they're forever wrapped together and tied with one another because, I mean, yes, Kobe and Duncan were concurrent with each other. Magic and Bird were concurrent with each other. But I think, look, there's a genuine conversation about those players, right? Like I have Kobe over Duncan, but not by much. I have them both kind of Mount Rushmore tier on my all-time greats. And Bird and Magic, look, those two are very closely tied. And I think there's a conversation of who is better. Many have Magic. I have Bird slightly. They're 6th, 7th-ish all time. So they're like, again, Kobe and Duncan are right by each other. Magic and Bird right by each other. And I think there's a genuine conversation of who was better between those two. The mainstream media doesn't want any semblance of a conversation between Kobe and LeBron, though. So they have to eradicate Kobe. They have to disparage him and overlook him and try to depreciate what he did and what he was. Because otherwise, these are two overlapping, concurrent era-specific players in LeBron and Kobe. Well, how can LeBron possibly be the GOAT? How? If he's not even firmly the best player of his own era, which is the conversation I think we should be having. It shouldn't be Kobe. So all of this time, it's been LeBron Jordan. To me, the real conversation is LeBron Kobe. Now, I personally have Kobe over LeBron easily, but I think the Kobe-LeBron conversation is a much closer, more interesting one than LeBron and Jordan. That one ain't close. Like, it's not remotely close. So, whatever reason, though, to get it to LeBron Jordan, they have to bypass Kobe, and the only way you're bypassing him is by this continual depreciation of his career. Go ahead, Gary.
This video, I know we talked about this video I'm working on. I'm putting a case. Just got to watch the video first before you tell me before anybody says I'm insane. Just watch the video. I'm making a case and showing evidence. And I say not only is Jordan and Kobe better than LeBron, Kevin Durant is better than LeBron. And I'm making a case.
Yes, Gary is on the record, and he's going to lay it out in which I do agree. For those of you that don't remember, after the epic choke job of LeBron in the 2011 finals, where of course they lost, they were up 2-1 and they were up 13 points in game 4 to go up 3-1 against the Mavericks. They were up 13 in the fourth quarter, blew that, lost that game, and then never won another game. So after that epic choke job where Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh were balling for LeBron, and LeBron was MIA on the side of a milk carton in the fourth quarters, and Jason Terry, who was a 6'2", 33-year-old bench player at the time, was the second best player on the Mavericks. After that colossal choke by LeBron, the next season, the Heat get back into the finals, and who was waiting for them but the very young Oklahoma City Thunder, like 23-year-old Kevin Durant, 23-year-old Russell Westbrook, and 22-year-old James Harden, or 21-year-old James Harden maybe. That was the team awaiting them in the finals. And remember, Oklahoma City had home court advantage in that series, and they won game 1 in that series, and they probably should have won game 2 if not for some very suspicious calls down the stretch, some obvious fouls that likely would have pushed the game over the top to the Thunder being up 2-0 in that series. And had they taken that 2-0 lead, to me, totally different series for the Thunder. Anyway, Gary the video he's talking about is making the case that the league essentially dictated that the officials do what they did throughout that series with Durant, and then because there was an agenda to build LeBron up and push the narrative of LeBron. So what Gary is talking about in the video that he's mentioned, that he's dropped the link to his channel that you can check it out on. That is essentially my takeaway as well on Kobe. They couldn't really steal the rings off Kobe. He had 5 basically when LeBron was still just getting started. But now they're just the revisionism that's used against Kobe in hindsight to try to disparage him, to try to make LeBron look better. It's all one and the same. Like LeBron can't be the GOAT definitively if he's not the best of his own era. So you can throw Durant in, Kobe, even Steph Curry in. Like, we just got to systematically, belittle these other players to uplift LeBron. So that's my takeaway on it, Brian Elliott. Gary, you're still muted. Okay.
I mentioned Kobe on there as well. The video should be up tomorrow. I've only got the other video about LeBron and the media. This other video, I just finished editing it right before you said, let's go live. So otherwise I'd be uploading it. It would be uploaded now, but I jumped on this and I can't upload while I'm doing a live stream.
Right. So there you have it, guys. And honestly, now that I believe we've reached the end of these super chats. I did want to just briefly, we've unpacked this series quite a bit. I don't want this to take too much longer, Gary. I know you want to upload that video and you have to get to bed, but I do just want to briefly, I've teased it. I talked about it earlier. Just touch on the Thibodeau firing real quick. So Tom Thibodeau fired officially yesterday. Breaking news yesterday that the New York Knicks have parted ways with Tom Thibodeau. This was after 5 years with the Knicks, and his record with the Knicks, 226 and 174. That's a win percentage of 57%. Honestly, slightly below his all-time winning percentage. Now he threw with Chicago, Minnesota, and the Knicks. So in 3 different stops throughout the NBA as a head coach. He's coached nearly 1,000 games. Now he's 578, 420. That's a win percentage, a career win percentage of 58%, though he has never made it to the NBA Finals. And really, Gary, ultimately, this is the crux of the issue, I think. In the postseason, I highlighted in the regular season, he's a 58% win percentage. I think that's like second or third best all time for a guy never to get into the finals. In the playoffs, though, 48 and 55 only, 46% in the playoffs. So I think that probably is the big problem. That's honestly what cost Tom Thibodeau his job, is just the playoff failures. My point, though, in this, my takeaway on this is the timing is just so bizarre to me. Like, that he just signed a 3-year extension last season. So like, he's just in year 1 of a 3-year extension. So what did you see in this postseason that would have made you say after last year, like, oh no, like, we need to go in a different direction. We need another voice. This is a guy who just posted back-to-back 50-win seasons. It's the first time that the Knicks have done that in, I think, 30 years. And they went to the NBA Finals, or the Eastern Conference Finals. It's the furthest they've been since back in 1999 when they went to the NBA Finals and lost to your Spurs. So it's the deepest playoff run they've had in 26 years. So like, what is it about after inking him to a 3-year extension? He gets into 1 year of it this year. They go 50+ wins. They upset the Celtics, which, look, they choked, they crumbled, they fell apart to the Pacers. But they did upset the Celtics who were substantial favorites to repeat as Eastern Conference champions and were top 2 favorites to win the NBA championship. And they weren't. I've been talking about how great the Oklahoma City Thunder were all year. They weren't when the playoffs began. The Thunder were just they were much bigger favorites above everybody else. But Boston was pretty close on the heels from a favor line standpoint to the Thunder. So the Knicks beat that team. And then they went 6 with the Pacers after, yes, crumbling in game 1, losing a 14-point lead with 2.5 minutes to go and a 9-point lead with 60 seconds left. But I would contend that wasn't Tom Thibodeau's fault that they blew that game. We talked off air before we came on. I think in the game 1 that the Thunder blew against the Nuggets, which was a huge blown game to me because they were up 12 with like 2 minutes to go or something in that game. And then they lost on the buzzer beater to Aaron Gordon. And that, because of that game, that meant that the Thunder, who should have swept the Nuggets probably or beat them in 5, got taken 7. Now in that game, Mark Daigneault, last year's coach of the year, made a lot of mistakes, in my opinion. He fouled way too early. They were up 3, so they were playing the foul game with like a minute to go. Like, let it play out. Let it defend out. He also fouled in the backcourt at one point to let them sub back in some of their offense for defense substitutions. It was just a weird, there were some really poor situational gameplay management calls made by Daigneault. But from me watching that Knicks game that they blew in game 1 against the Pacers in this Eastern Conference Finals round, I wasn't getting the takeaway, oh, well, Thibodeau's mismanaging this. Like, he's really blowing this game. It was just, I thought, just a team-wide choke job collapse. The ramifications of that game 1 loss reverberating all the way through the series, ultimately costing them the series. But like, you're 1 game away, 1 win away, or whatever, 2 wins away, I guess, from making the NBA Finals, like on a 3-year extension. Just a weird, puzzling kind of decision, I think, from New York management and brass there. Gary, I don't think I disagreed with it. I was busy yesterday. I didn't get an opportunity to make a video about it. Had I done it, it would have been probably a very negative and scathing video, a scathing commentary, if you will, about the Knicks and their just their overall management and the things that they do, from a team building standpoint, and just decisions they've made over the last 30 years, which have made them essentially as putrid and inept of a franchise as I could possibly imagine or remember in my lifetime. Maybe the Clippers in their heyday of assness, dating back, before this Ballmer acquisition, which they've been better since Ballmer took over. But just in general, just a pretty pathetic move, I thought, by the Knicks. I know you, however, were not that surprised by it. We talked briefly about it.
I talked about how I didn't like the way the Knicks looked. I remember how disappointed I was, and everyone said I was being a cranky old man. I said they're not putting forth the effort for whatever reason. I don't know if maybe the players just weren't motivated by Thibs. I don't know. I don't think he's a bad coach by any means. I'm not necessarily agreeing with it. I'm just saying I'm not shocked, because you go back to the last year, I was complaining about how bad the Knicks looked. I was also complaining about how bad the Celtics looked when they were playing, and you don't like their coach. And he's won a championship, and you still don't like him. And you wouldn't be surprised if they fired him and got a new guy in there because you think.
Here's the thing with him, though. I don't think, and you're talking about Joe Mazzulla, the Boston Celtics head coach. I don't think that guy ever deserved the job. I don't think Ime Udoka should have ever been fired. But then when they did, look, Joe Mazzulla was 34 years old. His resume was pathetic. It was laughable, insane. With what that guy had from a career perspective into that point, like, just a minuscule amount of experience, nothing at the NBA level. To give him that roster, which I thought was the most talented roster in the league at the time, and that was before I think that they had gotten Porzingis, to give a 34-year-old guy that lineup was pathetic to me. He had an all-time choke job in his first year, which I thought he should have been fired instantly on the spot. They get into the game. They get into the Eastern Conference Finals in his first year against the 8th seed Miami Heat. They lose. They go down 3-0 to the Miami Heat somehow. The 8th seed, that team with that talent discrepancy, goes down 0-3. They then win the next 3 to tie a 3-3, get it back into a game 7 at Boston Garden, where they were like 9.5-point favorites, and then they lost by 20 in game 7. To me, Mazzulla shouldn't have even made it off the basketball court. He shouldn't have even made it into the locker room. If I was ownership, I would have just called his sell up, in the waning moments of the fourth. It was obviously a foregone conclusion they were going to lose, so they lost by 20. Just texted him or called him up and been like, Joe, don't bother even coming back to the locker room. Just get the hell out of the arena. You're fired. They let him come back for whatever reason. They then win the title the next season because they're too big to fail. The team was just too good, too stacked, too loaded. The whole playoff field, like, the red carpet unraveled for them. Like every single player in the East got hurt. They dodged every good team, every good player. They then get the Mavericks, the 5 seed from the West, who were not ready for that situation, that stage. So I think I don't really look. Mazzulla won a championship, I guess. I don't really look at him as a championship winning coach. Thibodeau, on the other hand, like this guy has an immense career of excellence to me, to some degree in the NBA. Specifically, the reason I think of this guy, look, he was with the Boston Celtics from 2007 through 2010. So to me, look, I know he wasn't the head coach. I know that was Doc Rivers. But Doc Rivers is one of the most egregious pants crappers in NBA history. This guy is so well renowned for his epic choke jobs. He's blown the most 3-1 leads in NBA history. He's lost more home Game 7 closeouts in NBA history. It's just unbelievable how bad Doc Rivers is and how much he chokes, relatively speaking, throughout the vast pantheon of his career underachievements. But they did manage to win a championship with that Celtics team. To me, I credit Tom Thibodeau a lot for that. I just do. Thibodeau was on that staff from 2007 through 2010. I saw he was essentially the de facto defensive coordinator for that team. And I think of that team because I saw them play throughout the playoffs and in the finals against Kobe Bryant twice. And he did about as good of a job. He built as good of a defensive strategy against Kobe Bryant as anyone I've ever seen. So I have a lot of respect for Thibodeau. He's a defensive-minded guy. He's has a long history. His coaching career started in 1981 at Salem State. He was then coached at Harvard for 4 years before getting into Minnesota with the Minnesota Timberwolves from 89 to 91. He was an assistant coach with the Timberwolves. And then he was with the Spurs in the 90s for a bit, the Sixers, the Knicks, actually, from 96 to 03 as an assistant. Then with Houston in 03 through 07. Then the Celtics till 2010. Then he started his head coaching career, Chicago, Minnesota, and then New York. So this guy's put in. He's earned the right to be there and to get that. So Joe Mazzulla at 34, getting that lineup, to me, he never really deserved that job or that crack. And look, he's going to have the job. They love him. Boston loves him. Who is it? Brad Stevens loves him. So Mazzulla's obviously going nowhere. His job is safe. But yes, Thibodeau out after 5 years, with still 2 years remaining on his 3-year extension, like I said, that he signed just a year ago. So I just wanted to squeeze that in here at the end. And real quick, speaking of squeezing in at the end, Xavier DeGod, who is a prolific sponsor during the Skap After Dark Lounge, is now in the Skap Afternoon Lounge. Yet another carryover that has found us with our time slot shift here today. Many thanks to you, Xavier DeGod, for coming in. I do appreciate you. And Xavier, for those of you here in the lounge right now that might not know, Xavier likes to drop these hypotheticals on us or these ranking questions. So go ahead and read this question or comment from Xavier.
Would Prime, KG, Allen, and Pierce beat a Prime, Broadway, and Bosch? Basically, would Prime Heat beat the Prime Celtics? Would OKC, Westbrook? Why do you take the players that were on the same team and then put them together at different periods of their career? With OKC, Westbrook, Rockets, Harden, and Golden State.
Yeah, this is a crazy question. Xavier, this question is great.
Beat Cavs, LeBron, Heat.
I'll say this. I'm not going to delve into all of these immense hypotheticals, Xavier. This is just crazy. Like would Orlando Shaquille O'Neal with 2010 Kobe Bryant? I'm not going to answer. I'm not going to go to your extreme, but I will say this. I think KG, Allen, and Pierce, the 07-08 team that won the championship and cooked the Lakers, I think they would have beat any iteration of the Miami Heat. So like the Braun, Wade, Bosh team, because we know they did play the Celtics, that Celtics team, but that was kind of, they were
older
than, they were like mid-30s at that point, because Allen, KG, and Pierce were like 30, 31 when they came together in 07, 08. So in 11 and 12 or whatever, when they were playing, Braun, Wade, and Bosh, they were 34, 35 at that point. And those were still tight, good series. Like those were still 6-game series. So I still, yes, I will contend that the first year, the 07, 08, where they won, I think they won 67, 68 games. They ran through the playoffs, beat the Lakers in 6, beat the Lakers by like 39 in game 6, the elimination game. The anything is possible KG game. I think that team would have beaten any of the 4-year Miami Heat iteration that had Braun, Wade, and Bosh. And then as for, look, I think, Gary's making a video about this as he mentioned. I honestly think the Thunder, I think if they stayed together, the Harden, Durant, and Westbrook team, I think they were arguably better anyway. The year they were really young and played them and didn't win. That was only a 5-game series. But like I said, they won game 1. They could have won game 2. The other games, most of them were all very, very close games. They just were young. They didn't really know how to get over the hump and finish those games. And then, of course, the questionable officiating, which Gary will discuss in the video. But I think that team already was better. So I think had they not broken apart, I think they would have ultimately been back and beaten the Heat. Obviously, we know the Spurs beat them too. But I think, yes, I think that had the Westbrook not taking them from their primes, just leaving that team together, OKC with Westbrook, Harden, and Durant, if they allowed to mature and play together a couple more years, I think they were better than the LeBron, Wade, and Bosh teams for sure. So now I'm not sure what this next. The Cavs, LeBron, Heat, Wade, Raptors. I don't know. I won't pull players from different teams, but I will answer straight up. Yeah, I think, and Gary, I don't know. You might talk about this. I think honestly, I love what ifs and hypotheticals, and to me, the Oklahoma City Thunder of that 2008, 9-ish era, running to 2010, I think. That's one of the greatest hypothetical what ifs of all time. I think had they not broken, and some of this is just the cheapness of Oklahoma City. I forget how much it ended up saving them, like a couple, like
$4 million that James Harden was trying to get 55, and they offered him 51, and he was trying to get 55. That's what they said. That's
ridiculous.
The rumor. I don't believe that. I think the league got rid of OKC because they knew that this team can't stick around with what they're doing with LeBron. That team could not stick around. They would have run the table. I am telling you, that team together, their chemistry. We're looking at this OKC dynasty right now in 2025. The same mastermind constructed that team 15 years ago.
No, I agree. I agree. And that's why I'm saying, Gary, I agree with
the league had to break them up for the sake of LeBron.
But
it goes right in with my video.
This is where I'll disagree with it. But this is where I'll give some pushback, because I think there's a lot of Luka conspiracy theories floating around out there with like the league orchestrated or masterminded that deal to get Luka to LeBron to help pump up the Lakers, just because the Lakers are, from a market standpoint, a popularity standpoint, they're a cash cow for the league. LeBron is a cash cow. Let's get Luka. So but I rejected the conspiracy theories about that until I saw the draft lottery, because then it made perfect sense that the league offered them Cooper Flag if they gave Luka to the Lakers. So while I think that Thunder team is an all-time what if, because I think they would have been one of the greatest dynasties ever. I think they would have been the Chicago Bulls 2.0. I think they would have won 6, 5, 6, 7 championships had they not broken up that team. I don't know how the league played a factor in that, though. What did Oklahoma City get out of that arrangement? I get with the Luka thing, they got Cooper Flag. What did the league? How did the league?
No, I didn't say OKC was in on it. I'm saying the league the league did something to somebody, some higher up, forced them to break that team up. I am telling you it. And I'm a Spurs fan. And I got a champion. We got a championship in 2014. If that team stayed intact, we most likely would not have. And you said, oh, well, what about injuries? KD got injured in 13. Westbrook got injured 14. Maybe if they stayed together, their minutes were minimized and they didn't occur those injuries. Maybe they stayed healthy in 13 and 14 if they had stayed together because they would have had to play less minutes. But so I'm a Spurs fan, and I'm saying this because I watched the way they annihilated. We were on it. We swept the first round in 2012. We swept the second round. We went up 2-0 on OKC. And I thought we were probably most likely going to go to the finals. My friend says to me, yeah, you guys are shooing. You're going to get to the finals. I said, well, we're only up 2-0. I said, we'll probably get there. I said, but OKC is pretty good. And then what the hell do you know? OKC rattles off 4 straight wins. I'm sitting there stunned. And I'm just like, this is the next dynasty. I'm like, they're going to kick the crap out of the Heat.
Yeah,
I just watched what it did to my Spurs. Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would give only pushback I would give would be the league intervention or league, whatever. I don't know. That's speculation. I think while you think something happened, like you can't even really necessarily point to exactly what it was.
Right.
But we can agree. I do think that team, if Harden, Westbrook, and Durant played like 10 or 11 years together, the three of them with, like, remember Serge Ibaka. Now, who knows if they can make all those contracts match up or whatever, but like still that team would have won like a minimum of 4 champions, like a minimum, like if not, to me, more like 5 or 6, because we see what happens. They all break apart. They all win league MVPs. Like, that is insane that they had 3 league MVPs on one team, all drafted by that team within like a year or 2 of each other. Like, it was just an insane build from a team standpoint. Like, that is, to me, one of the big what ifs. So Xavier, to Gary's point, and Xavier, to your question, the Westbrook and Harden and Durant team would have been an all-time team if they just were allowed to stay intact and mature and play longer together. They would have that would have been a team that would have reaped the NBA for years. They would have just been a dynasty like few that we've ever seen.
And maybe they would have met up with the Warriors down the line, which would have been a really good series to watch.
Probably they would have, although with no KD, because KD would have been on Oklahoma City. So I think so the Warriors probably never win.
15-16, right? Their team that won 73. They won 73 without KD. So that's what I'm getting at.
Right, but I still think, because remember now that Oklahoma City team without Harden took that 73 win team to 7. They were up 3-1. You throw Harden in the mix, well, I think it's a different story. I think, who knows if the Warriors, Steph Curry might have no rings at all if that team didn't break up.
And you know who else? LeBron very well may have no rings as well. And I talk about that on the video.
Also a distinct possibility.
And the topic of the video, believe it or not, is Michael Jordan. The reason he's coming back, and I'm delving deep into the history and what's led to bringing Jordan back because of all the crap that has, unfolded over the decades because of LeBron. All right, so we got a new one for you. Favorite team and franchise, Monda Green wants to know.
Monda Green, welcome in. I don't recognize you in the sponsorship area of the lounge. So Monda Green, many thanks. Welcome in. Thank you so much. I appreciate you very much for supporting us here. And I don't really have a favorite team, quite frankly, or a franchise. I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where there was no NBA teams. I fell in love with Michael Jordan from a very young age. I was born basically the year he came into the NBA. So I was a very, very young kid when Jordan was winning championships. I was very, very young, but Jordan was my favorite player. I saw Kobe play when he was in high school. And from that point, from me seeing him when, again, I was like 9 or 10 years old probably. And I said, yo, that guy there, that skinny kid from Lower Merion, Philadelphia, Kobe Bryant, like, that's the next Jordan. So wherever he goes, that's going to become my favorite player, and that will be my favorite team moving forward. So when Kobe was drafted by Charlotte and then traded to Los Angeles on draft night, the Lakers became my favorite team for roughly 20 years. And Kobe became my favorite, not just my favorite basketball player, probably not just my favorite athlete, but like maybe my favorite human being ever. So the Lakers were king to me, were my franchise for years and years and years. I then basically just from that point on just rooted against things after Kobe retired until I discovered Giannis and Jokic. So I kind of became a Bucks and a Nuggets fan, more so Nuggets now in recent years. So I would say right at current, the Nuggets, the Denver Nuggets would be my favorite team and my favorite franchise right now. Historically, I rooted the most throughout my life for the Lakers. But more so, I'm just an individual. I just look at players, storylines that I like or identify with or whatever in some way. And that's what I root for, my rooting interest. So I don't really have, and even growing up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, a huge NFL fan, as you guys could glean, I'm sure, if you were at the earlier part of the stream while Gary and I were arguing about the 2000, 2001 Patriots. Mainly a lot of that because of my Steelers were such a prominent part of that storyline of that team that year. I was a humongous, diehard Steelers fan. Like when they were eliminated from the playoffs every year, I skipped school for a week. When I was in grade school, and even up and through to college, basically, I would just skip classes or skip school entirely for like a week straight when the Steelers lost in the playoffs. So I was that big of a Steelers fan, but I haven't even been a big Steelers fan in years because I always disliked Mike Tomlin and I always disliked Ben Roethlisberger. So I didn't like the coach. I didn't like the quarterback. Therefore, I've just gravitated away from the Steelers in recent years. I look for individuals and I root for players, not jerseys or not names on. I root for names on the back, not the front. So that's just the way I've always been, Montegrin. But great question. And we've got Sully back in. Sully is in yet again. Thank you, Sully. I see Xavier is also peppering us as he does in the After Dark Lounge. He is now doing in the Afternoon Lounge. So we've got two coming up from Xavier. But first, let's hit on Sully again. Sully, many thanks to you for continued support of us again here. Go ahead, Gary, and read this question or comment from Sully.
I hate when people pick their hypothetical all-time starting five, and they just pick five high-volume shooters / scorers. Bro, there's only one ball.
Yeah, and Sully, you did not ask me for my hypothetical all-time starting five. And thank you, because I don't really know. I can give my top five, but my top five will differ, from a hypothetical five. So I couldn't agree more with you here. They're different things. Like when you look at a player's greatness or their legacy or their resume, and you just pick the five best, that doesn't mean that those five guys would play the best together. So I couldn't agree more. I am a defensively oriented guy. I like two-way players. I like prolific scorers. Obviously, Kobe and Jordan are my two favorite players, my two best players all time. But those guys were two elite two-way players. So I look probably I know my top five are two-way players, and probably even my hypothetical five would involve guys that defend or that play both ways. I think though, while like Larry Bird isn't in my top five greatest all-time players, he's not in my top five, but he would probably be my hypothetical five, starting five, just because he plays a little underrated defense. He wasn't a great defender, but he's underrated in my opinion. But he's just as a great passer and facilitator too, but he can also score. So I think to kind of make, Jordan, Kobe would be on my all-time five as well. And then I don't want to get into the hypothetical five. So thank you for not asking me because it's difficult. I think Hakeem would be in my all-time. He would be my all-time starting center. I would want Duncan in there too. Again, just for defensive purposes. I don't know. It's difficult. I would need a facilitator though, to your point. So I would probably want maybe like John Stockton just to make it all work or bring it all together. I couldn't agree more with you though, that it is a differential between the greatest or the best five versus the best starting five that you can put together. Good point. And to your point, I think Xavier, now the God is back in, and Xavier has some hypothetical 5v5. So again, Xavier loves these hypotheticals. So go ahead, Gary. Go ahead and present this latest question from Xavier. Thank you again, Xavier, for your support and generosity of us here. Gary, what is this latest question he has for us?
5-on-5, which team you have winning? Team West, Nash, Kobe, Garnett, Duncan, and Dirk versus Tim East, AI, Pierce, Vince Carter, T-Mac, Ben Wall. Okay, Vince Carter is not that good. He's a great dunker. He's a good player, but he's not in an all-time great game. Ben Wallace is I don't think that East team's going to make it out very. Yeah, Kobe and Duncan on the same team.
Yeah, I mean, look, I have a profound amount of respect for T-Mac. I've talked about him a couple times on these lives. I've done a standalone video about how good T-Mac is. To me, again, talking about the what ifs, he's one of the all-time best what ifs. So I have a profound respect for McGrady and his offensive capabilities at his peak. Whereas I have a profound respect for Ben Wallace and his defensive capabilities. He anchored one of the nastiest defenses in league history, not just this century, ever. The Pistons in the 2004 playoffs that beat those Lakers was just one of the most nasty defenses ever. I mean, I want to say they allowed like 83 points per game or something like that in the playoff run that season. It was insane. And that was Ben Wallace anchoring that. But when you look at the five that you give me, first of all, Nash and Dirk, with that the unison that they had, the camaraderie, they were, remember, drafted together in Dallas, and they were great friends in Dallas, and they stayed friends throughout the course of their career. Dirk is one of the great scorers in NBA history. Nash, one of the best pure point guards to kind of string that whole thing together. Kobe, to me, one of the 2 to 3 greatest scorers ever. Arguably the best scorer of all time. And then 3 of the greatest defenders ever in Kobe, Garnett, and Duncan. Kobe and Garnett tied with Jordan and Gary Payton for the most all-NBA defensive first-team selections ever. So Garnett and Kobe with 9 all-NBA first-team selections, the most in NBA history. And then Duncan has the most just overall defensive selections ever. I think he had 15 all NBA defensive selections, the most overall, including first and second team. So when you're saying you're giving me those 3 plus like an elite scorer like Dirk and a facilitator and Nash, I'm taking Team West there all the way, probably in like 5, maybe 6 games at most. I don't think that makes it to a 7th game. But great question though, Xavier, and thank you again. And finally, one final one in here from Xavier. Xavier, what is this last question from Xavier, Gary?
Would you guys watch a one-on-one basketball league?
Well, Xavier, it depends on who's participating in the one-on-one basketball league. Are these like former NBA great? Is it like who is it? Is it Ice Cube that has the
3-on-3, the big 3? I've always said they should have a one-on-one game and the All-Star game. Could you imagine Kobe doing that like every year, playing somebody one-on-one? What about Kobe and LeBron? Oh, that would have been glorious to watch Kobe embarrass LeBron.
Obviously, Gary, come on. We both know damn well LeBron would never have the courage to take that on. But Kobe would sure call it out. Kobe would talk mad shit on LeBron, like denigrate him, call him a coward. So that would have been awesome in and of its own right to see that. But yes, Kobe would have won every year. Kobe would have won, like he would have played every year. He would have won every year. He would be talking so much smack on the rest of the league, like daring anybody to come, all takers. That would have been awesome. Same with Jordan in his prime, because Jordan was an elite one-on-one guy. Both Kobe and Jordan, they were elite alphas, and they both thought of themselves as elite one-on-one guys. Like they had the mentality like nobody could beat me one-on-one. So like to see those guys talking their smack, running their mouth, like challenging the whole league out, questioning their manhood every year, and then beating them every year, it would have been awesome to see. So yes, I would have loved to see that. And I would still love to see it probably in today's NBA. But like in terms of a one-on-one league, I think we would probably be talking like former players, like players that are freshly retired, maybe guys that are like 35 to 45. I would watch that. Like, I would be interested in seeing that for sure. I watch the 3-on-3 thing from time to time. I find it interesting when I find games on. Yeah, I would like to see the one-on-one. And quite frankly, to me, I know they're doing flag football in the Olympics. I think they're doing 3-on-3 basketball too moving forward in the Olympics. I think. I would rather see one-on-one. Like if it were me, but I'm sure the IOC isn't asking. I'm sure they don't really care about my take on that. But yeah, I like one-on-one because as a Jordan and a Kobe guy, I like playing one-on-one myself when I was younger, and I just enjoy watching the one-on-one game. So I think that would be pretty cool. We've got Mondegrin is back in with another question. Just Mondegrin just popped in asking for our favorite team or franchise. Now is wondering my favorite NBA video game. Gary, were you a gamer at any point of your life?
In the late 80s, I used to love playing Nintendo. I like Double Dribble, and I don't care what anybody says. I'll rather play Double Dribble than any of these new. I love the basic video game graphics. I like Nintendo. I don't care. I like Nintendo, and I like the first PlayStation with Street Fighter 2. I like the basics. These new ones, they're just, I don't know. I don't get into them. They got like 20 buttons, and it's like it's zoomed in on your face. I can't even hardly tell they're like, what is it, Call of Duty? Like you're walking around like you're in the point of view, like you're the one
POV.
shooting, and it's so up close. It's in your face. I can't tell what's going on. I'm just like, this only plays Street Fighter or Tekken or Double Dribble.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be totally honest. I am not a gamer, nor have I ever been a gamer. There are a few games, a smattering of video games, not just sports, but all time. It's a very short list of games that I really cherished or loved playing or played a lot throughout my past. Beginning with Super Mario Brothers 3 on regular Nintendo. Again, this is going to date me. I know I look good, guys, but I'm old as hell. So I go back to the regular Nintendo and Mario, not the first one that had, someone's bell is ringing. That is my, guys, that is my best friend / assistant, Luna, that you hear barking in the background because someone rang the doorbell. So those of you who are with me at the After Dark Lounge, I have a 12-pound Shih Tzu named Luna, who is my best friend and my assistant. So she does not like people by the door. Someone rang the doorbell, so she's barking. I apologize for that. But yes, Super Mario 3 on regular Nintendo. Then I would go to GoldenEye, which was on Nintendo 64, which I loved. I also loved Quarterback Club 98. I think Brett Favre was on the cover. That was also on Nintendo 64. And then NBA Live 98, I think it was called, or NBA. It wasn't NBA 2K yet, obviously. I think it was NBA Live 98 was a basketball game that I really liked. That was played on Nintendo 64 too. Then basically that's it. Those are the only games and Mario Kart. I liked Mario Kart on Nintendo 64 as well. These are like games when I was in high school. So that's probably why I was playing them a lot then. Though, if I had to pick my favorite NBA video game though, Mondegrin, it would probably be the arcade game NBA Jam, I believe.
That was good. Yeah.
The name of it. So, and that was arcade. Now, one of my friends now who's like, I don't know, 50 or so, has got the NBA Live in his basement. So whenever I go into Philadelphia, I visit him, I play it again. But that was like, it was like a 2-on-2 kind of setting where you pick like the best pairing of the league. And then it's like a 2-on-2 kind of thing. And it's very arcadey. If you hit like 3 consecutive shots in a row, it would do that. Oh, he's on fire. So as you continue to make, he's heating up. And then when he's on fire, it's like impossible to stop the shots from going in. That would probably be my favorite NBA video game. But admittedly, I've played very few video games in my lifetime, and certainly not any within the last like 15 to 20 years, as I am old as hell now. But great question, Montegrin, and thank you very much for the continued support of us here. Next in, we've got Wolfspain. Wolfspain, thank you for your support and for checking in with the afternoon lounge. Gary, what is the question or comment here from Wolf?
Okay, it's a two-part question here. First of all, Wolf, you didn't need to ask the first part of the question because I think we already know the answer. Obviously, we're going to leave LeBron off of that. So he says the starting five between Bird, Magic, Duncan, Kobe, Shaq, and LeBron, you can only start five. Of course, we're going to cut LeBron. So now he asks, which two, this is a better question, which two are you picking to start a franchise?
Yeah, it's a tough question. So yes, I agree with Gary, moderator Gary, for sure. LeBron is out of that. That my starting five would be Magic, Bird, Duncan, Kobe, and Shaq. LeBron would be nowhere near any team, actually. I wouldn't even want LeBron coming off the bench, quite frankly. But so, this is a good question. It's almost an impossible question to answer. I think historically speaking, throughout NBA history, very few times has there been a dynastic small player. So most dynasties in NBA history are led by bigs. If you go back to the Minneapolis Lakers in the 50s and 60s with George Mikan, which segued into the dynastic 60s Boston Celtics with Bill Russell, those are two bigs. You then, get into the 70s. Really, there were no dynasties, but the best player of the 70s, and he won two, would be Kareem, who was a big. Then you get into the 80s. Okay, Bird and Magic weren't necessarily bigs. I mean, Magic was designated a point guard, but he was 6'9". Bird was also about 6'8" or 6'9". He was, listed as a small forward, but 6'8", 6'9", like a forward, a front court. They're front court players, though, right? Like Magic, I guess technically was a guard, but he had a great historic big and Kareem on his team. Really, it wasn't until you got into the 90s and Michael Jordan, where like a team was dynastically great and was built and structured around a guard perimeter-based player. Michael Jordan was pretty much it. That was the first time in NBA history to that point. Then the next dynastic team was the Shaq Kobe Lakers. Obviously, Kobe was a dynasty in and of his own right, individually, himself winning 5 championships in 10 years. But in only 2 of them did he not have Shaq, who was another all-time great big. And then Pau Gasol was a great big. He wasn't like an all-time great big, but he was like the 20th-ish best player in the NBA at the time. He was maybe like, I don't know, the 3rd, 4th, 5th best big at the time. So still a good big. And then, of course, you had the Steph Curry Warriors, and so that's pretty much it. Basically, Jordan, Curry, and Kobe are the only guard perimeter-based players. Yes, the Pistons got 2 in with Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars, but really the only dynastic caliber guards would be Kobe, Curry, and Jordan. So look, while Jordan and Kobe are my 2 great GOAT players, like Kobe to me is the 2nd greatest player all time behind only Michael Jordan, I don't know that I could pick Kobe as one of these 2 guys to start an actual franchise. I think what he achieved in his career makes him the 2nd best, and I think he's probably the greatest scorer ever, maybe the 2nd greatest scorer ever, one of the all-time great defenders. But if you're telling me at the beginning of a career I have to pick a player to build around or build a franchise around, like, I probably would have to go with a big, right? Just like playing on NBA history and the backdrop of NBA history. Like, I don't know. Like, look, Shaq, if we're factoring in work ethic and all that stuff, I would probably leave Shaq out, even though he was great individually and he was great, from a dynastic standpoint for like a really short period of time. I don't know. I probably would go with Duncan, would be a guy that I would, just with his consummate professionalism, leadership, intangibles, as well as the other great things he brought to the court. I'd say, along with Bill Russell and Hakeem Olajuwon and Will Chamberlain, probably a handful of the greatest defenders of all time. So like, I think Duncan would be a guy that would come to mind there. And then maybe, I don't know. It's so hard. It's hard for me to separate Magic from Kareem and the great team that he had. I don't know, Gary. This is a really hard question. Maybe I would choose Kobe too, just because of what a hard worker Kobe was and how committed to his individual dominance and excellence that he was willing to like put the work in with the team and drag the team along with him. Maybe I would just screw it and say Kobe and Duncan would be the two guys that I would pick.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see Kobe and Duncan getting along a lot better too than Kobe and Shaq.
Oh, I didn't even realize. I read it totally different. I was thinking maybe we're one of pick two players and then they're, pick one guy for one franchise and one guy for your other franchise.
I thought it was together.
I didn't even read it that way. If we're saying together.
Yeah, picking which two you picking start a franchise.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, if we say together, I think still that would really embolden me to say Kobe and Duncan, because then you've got the perimeter and you've got the paint. You've got the front and the back. You've got like basically what you have with Shaq and Kobe, but you've got two guys that I think would mesh better from a standpoint of like the way they would fit from a personality standpoint, because Duncan didn't have like the pure alpha mindset that both Shaq and Kobe had, which is why they clashed so much. And then Duncan worked, as hard as Kobe and cared about defense as much as Kobe. So I think that would have been a better fit too. So either way, I think my answer would be Wolf Spain. I'm going Kobe and Duncan, but really good question, making me really work for that one and strive. And finally, we've got Sully's Tech Hub back in. Sully, thank you very much for checking back in. More of these super chats just keep trickling in, Gary. I'm sorry. Typically, Gary's like kind of fresh at the nighttime ones, and I'm like limping to the finish line. Now I know poor Gary wants to just upload this video and go to bed, and we can't get out because of your guys' continued support and generosity of us here, giving us these super chats. Is another one slid in after Sully, but let's start with Sully first. Gary, go ahead and read that latest one from him.
Do you think the desirability of a city plays a role in championship odds? No star wants to go to Detroit or Memphis. They're nearly third world cities.
Yeah, I don't think it doesn't necessarily play into their championship odds, but it plays into their championship viability for sure. It's just certain areas can't build good teams for whatever reason, like because players don't want to go there. We know LeBron obviously claimed that they couldn't build anything in Cleveland. Well, Cleveland had the second best rated team in the NBA this year. They had the second best SRS in the league. They won 64 games this season. And it looked like they were maybe championship caliber or at least finals caliber until they got derailed by injuries. But LeBron left Cleveland all those years back because according to him, nobody wanted to play in Cleveland. They couldn't build around him in Cleveland. And, we've seen other small market, like they can never build around Dirk Nowitzki, right? Like Dirk for years, just had less around him than other places. Now Denver, they can't put a team around Jokic, though I think a lot of that is the ineptitude of the front office and the ownership more than anything else. But certainly there's places where it's difficult to coax, high profile free agents into going to, though I really do think like in Dallas, like I think players would have went to play with Luka. I think if the Denver Nuggets weren't shittily run, players would have went to play with Nikola Jokic. So I think it more so has to do, I think if you get a really great player that other guys want to go play with, I think that they will go to cities that are viewed as less or below other markets. But there is for sure, no doubt, some truth to the fact that, yes, people don't want to go to Memphis or Detroit or Denver or even San Antonio. Like they want to go to Miami, Los Angeles, New York. Of course, those markets and those cities have a leg up in terms of recruitment and in terms of getting and generating interest from high profile free agents. It's undeniable. And guys talk about it on record for year in and year out, how like they want to get to a big market. So for sure, Sully, I think those teams, typically they have more money, they have more market share, blah, blah, blah. They just have more advantage. But as I say that, here we sit, Oklahoma City and Indiana in the NBA Finals. So it is possible and it is feasible to build. Look at what San Antonio did. They have to do it from the draft. Not only do you have to draft really well and really smart and get and hit on all your draft picks, you have to get the right guys that have the mentality that they want to stay there and they don't care if they're in a smaller market. So that's the way to do it. It's not easy, but it can be done and it is feasible. Good question though. And Karthik Shankar is in from, again, the After Dark Lounge, has joined us in the Afternoon Lounge. You guys just seem to have found the Skap Lounge. Doesn't matter the time shift. So thank you guys very much for your continued support and generosity. Karthik, welcome in. And Gary, go ahead and read this latest one from Karthik.
That was a very long, convoluted way to say LeBron doesn't belong on that list, but agreed. Yep, that's true.
Yeah, I don't have LeBron anywhere near. Look, LeBron from a resume standpoint, a career achievement standpoint, is a fringe top 10 all-time player. Like, I'm not going to say any different. I'm not going to come in here and say not top 50, not top 100. He's top 10, fringe top 10. I think there are some guys right now that can maybe push him just outside of 10. If you have him a little bit higher, if you have him up to like 5 or 4, whatever, I think he has no case whatsoever for anything for 1, 2, or 3. Certainly not for 1. But in terms of my all-time team, though, that's talking resume and accomplishments. In terms of an all-time team, I would have LeBron nowhere near it because he's a loser. He's shown time in and time out that he is a loser, that he freezes and chokes up in the clutch, that he makes other great players bad. So why would I want to surround my other great players on my all-time hypothetical great team with a guy that is going to depreciate and devalue them, all for the glorification of his massive usage and stat accrual? Like, I just don't want that. And then on top of it, he's lousy in the clutch. So for those reasons, LeBron is nowhere near my list for sure in that capacity. Next, we've got 2 more, maybe finally. These are the last 2 right now, coming from Xavier DeGod, who, again, does this. This is just Xavier's MO, peppering us with multiple hypotheticals and stuff. Typically near the end of the lives, as we're trying to get off, he'll send like 3, 5, 7 different super chats asking these questions, which are typically longer questions to answer. So, but go ahead and read this one. And we do really appreciate you, Xavier. So Gary, go ahead and read this latest one.
What's the worst NBA team franchise in history? I know the first to pop into my mind. There's a second one.
Go ahead and tell me your first one, Gary, and maybe we're aligned on it.
Clippers.
Same. Bingo. That's exactly who I was thinking.
Second one, Washington.
Yeah, I'd say for me, it's the Clippers, just because they've been so utterly putrid for so long. Like they first of all, obviously they've never won an NBA championship. They've never been to a finals. And they're typically always near the bottom every year. Now they've had a couple glimpses of good runs. Like when they got CP3,
they're good right now.
And they're pretty good right now. Sure. Like when they got CP3 and Blake Griffin and they were viable contenders to win the West a couple years. I think they arguably should have won the West the one year. They were up 3-1 on Houston when Chris Paul hurt his leg, and they choked that 3-1 lead away. I think they probably would have won the West maybe that year. Who knows, though? I think they beat your Spurs that year, actually, Gary, before they got
round 1, game 7. Yeah, I was watching Floyd Mayweather Pacquiao at the sports bar in game 7. That was 2015. And no, they weren't going to win because the Rockets beat them in round 2, but then the Rockets had to play the Warriors. They weren't going to beat the Warriors. So even if the Clippers win,
probably not.
No, they weren't going to beat the Warriors.
But they were content. They were competitive, though. They were good. They were 50-win teams. Like they were going to the playoffs every year. So like, but that was short lived. Like it wasn't a long span of time. It was like 4 or 5 years.
Right.
And then look, now they have when healthy, Kawhi Leonard and Harden. They had Paul George there for a couple of years. So they've been competitive for the last couple of years too. But overall, from like the start of their franchise's history till now, I'd say it's the Clippers, and it's not that hard of an answer to me. I think they're one of the worst run organizations in all of sports. They've been better since Ballmer took over, that maniac guy who was he, Steve Jobs' right-hand man or something. I want to say, or I don't know, maybe he was Bill Gates' his right hand man. He was like the CFO or something of one of these, of either Microsoft or Apple. He's worth billions. He overpaid when they took the franchise away from Sterling for the, the racial controversy of him being secretly recorded, making, derogatory commentary about, I think, Magic Johnson, actually, by his, at the time, his mistress, Steffiani, something Vivia Steffiani or something like that. Anyway, that was early on in Adam Silver's tenure. Remember when he banned Donald Sterling for life? That drop, banned for life. They forced the sell. Ballmer came in over the top with some obscene, like $2.5 billion bid on the team. Got it. And they've been better since he's been involved with them. Mainly, Gary, because he's so damn rich and he doesn't care. He'll pay all the taxes. He'll get into the apron, whatever. Like, he just wants to be competitive. So that's why they've been a little bit better under him. But still, start to finish, I agree. And Xavier, I don't think it's that hard of a question to answer. Clippers. And now finally, what is Xavier's final question and our final super chat? And then we're going to mercifully put this to an end for Gary, who wants to get to bed. But go ahead and read Xavier's last one here, Gary.
Is it best to draft what you need or the best talent? And that's a big question for my Spurs right now, because it's like this Dylan Harper kid looks really good, but we've got De'Aaron Fox and we've got Stephon Castle. But De'Aaron Fox has only got 1 year on his contract. We would have to re-sign him anyways. This Dylan Harper guy has potential to be even better.
Yeah, this is a tough question. I think it depends on, like, how good is your team otherwise. Like, I mean, if the Spurs are pretty well positioned, so maybe you pick the best. I generally am always a go for the best talent guy, personally, over need. If what is the best talent is not your need and you really need something else and you have the pick, then I would trade down. So to me,
right,
the answer is always the best talent or trade down. I don't want to reach for something just because it's need specific. But in context of the Spurs, who got the second pick overall, the Spurs to me are a good team, though. They're well positioned already. So maybe they do consider trading down and getting something that's more of a need, but also stock up, build up their assets a little bit more. Moving on into the future, because otherwise I would be itching to take the best talent. To me, that's always to me, you always go for the best talent. You don't want to pass on somebody just because you think positionally you don't need it. That's just my 2 cents, though. You don't have to quote me. I'm not like a draft guru or expert, but I would always be in the opinion of trade down or take the best talent that's presented to you at the spot where you're picking. But guys, that is all for this raucous session of the Skap Attack Afternoon Lounge, the first afternoon session we've done. We've been doing this for about a month now, and they typically all follow games immediately following the game ends, which we will be shifting back to that format tomorrow night. So make sure you get that. Tune into us tomorrow night around 10:30 or 11 o'clock-ish. On the East Coast in the USA, whenever that game 1, Oklahoma City, Indiana, concludes. Moderator Gary and I will be on to break it down, discuss that, and whatever other direction you guys obviously want to take it, as typically you guys take it in other directions. Many thanks, speaking to that, of the 3940 super chats that you guys sent us today in this new time slot in the afternoon. And otherwise, to all of you guys that have been participating in the live chat as well, thank you guys so much for showing up. And I saw, like I said, a lot of repeat, a lot of carryovers from the night. So thank you for finding us here. Gary, moderator Gary, thank you for pushing your bedtime out a little bit later and staying on this lengthy version of the live stream here. Over 3 hours now. Was not expecting. I was thinking maybe like 45 to 60 minutes when I kicked this thing off 3 hours ago. Didn't go that way because you guys obviously just continue to build the participation, which I love and enjoy. But guys, that is it for this session of our first session of the Afternoon Lounge. Again, if you are still here and you are not subscribed, please do consider doing so now. And make sure you hit that notification because who knows when we'll be on next, afternoon, AM, p.m. Late night. And who knows when my next video is going to come out. I don't know even. So make sure the notifications are turned on to stay up to date with me. Until then, though, guys, have a great day. Godspeed. And moderator Gary and I will see you tomorrow night after the game.